can't beat us, join us, please bring your coinage. We sing 3-pointers, money shots, all net, all vets. Bumps we not, jet skiing in them sunny spots. With women edible like gummy drops. Dummy stop, no weapon form can intercept a storm. Once my intellect is on, I'm projecting on magnetic fields and interact with blacks with athletic bills. I'm all about growth and development like residents of Ebbets Fields. Not to choose between woo and chew. We wanna line them colors up like a Rubik's Cube and fade to black, yeah, the truest hue. When you say the black man is God, who you alluded to? The usual, Clarence 13X, a worthy guest. The words expressed come from the word in flesh. Elijah M, the NOI versus Leviathan. Messiah sent from the heavenly branches. 7 P's from since G-Dub cut down the cherry tree. In the wilderness of North Mex, and we flossing death and forced aggression, or forced perception, forced protection, or forced confessions. It's all a lesson.
The sorcerers from Corsica, killer tonics, sticks and drums like the Philharmonic Orchestra. You niggas still playing harmonicas from officers, fabric softener. Jive turkeys popping 5 perkies, playing with keys, the Scotch storage type. For that soft right, we could've caught life, just being forthright. First class on my 4th flight, popping out like Fortnite. Every night we lit like Porsche lights. The meek shall inherit the earth, oh yeah, the scorched type. And these niggas, they some hoes in these streets. Me, I'm 10 toes in these streets. They lost their souls, niggas got holes in their feet. Shit, I'm just worried about the craft and how to perfect it. Not worried about the craft, yeah, that's out of perspectives. Focus on the chip like I'm Robert Kraft, and then how to protect it. It's the waves of the oceans. Get to the money, nigga, save your emotion. Descendant of the slaves in the graves in the oceans. Mastermind that the waves is in motions. These niggas, they addicted to the folly, addicted to that molly. Making me a movie, them sticks made of holly. I'm Dr. Manhattan, sitting on top of Manhattan. When I get all 5 rings, snap my fingers and pop up on satin. Dressed in all black, yeah, drop top the Phantom. Bless.
Crumb TV.
Peace to the family. Peace to the family, peace to you and yours. Peace to the family, peace to you and yours. Welcome to another episode of Third Eye Thursdays. You are now rocking with the best. Yes, this is your host for the evening, Brother Red Pillar. And that song that you just heard right there, ladies and gentlemen, that is the Theta Waves featuring the Twin Pillars, all right? Shout out to everybody in the building. We need that video. I did a little, yeah. I'm still trying to figure out the theme of the video, just to keep it a buck. I'm really still trying to figure out the theme of the video. I don't want it just to look like any other video. But in the meantime, between time, I'm doing vignettes. I'm doing like the Instagram videos, like the 1-minute videos where you just spit your verse in a location. So the last one, the recent one that I did, I was in New York in Times Square. I'll probably upload that. The volume is a little low. Yeah? How does that sound? Is how we sounding on volume? Talk black to me, y'all. How we sounding? Yeah, so I'm gonna I'm gonna brainstorm a little bit more, and we'll come up with some concepts and whatnot. I might even run the concepts by y'all and see what pops out. You know what I'm saying? We'll see what pops out. You know, how y'all feel about it. But anyway, what's goody? Peace to the family. How's everybody doing on this good Thursday and whatnot? We in the building. Shout out to everybody in the building. Yes, sir. We are outside. You know what I mean? I know that we've been talking about the road to Invest Fest, and we are here. We have arrived. I was there earlier and whatnot. Just getting my passes and stuff like that, getting my credentials and scoping the place out. You know what I mean? It's looking pretty. Yo, I didn't see everybody set up, But the minute I walked in that bitch, I seen Yaki Awaken set up. Oh my goodness. It looked like Yaki Awaken Super Mall in that bitch. Yaki probably got the best booth. He might get the best booth for this year, but he is front and center. Let me tell you, y'all are gonna see it on IG. People are gonna post it on TikTok and shit like that. But shout out to Yaki Awaken. Shout out to his team and whatnot. And shout out to everybody pulling up to the Invest Fest. Y'all want to talk about Invest Fest? Because I know that there's controversy and other things surrounding it and whatnot. I was gonna reserve my critique, or I was gonna reserve my banter, and I was gonna reserve my insight to after the Invest Fest, naturally, because leading up to something, things never are as they appear. I'm gonna repeat that. Leading up to something, things are never really are as they appear. So what may look like something, you gotta wait till the actual event happens. Case in point, I'm not the biggest fan of boxing, and I'm not the biggest fan of sports. You know what I mean? I'm not really a sports dude like that. But when I do get a chance to, catch a little weigh-in or the press conference before the fight, there's always these expectations, and the fighter who's always predicted to, he's gonna win, and oh my God, do you see the ferociousness in his eyes? And he has the eye of the tiger. 2 minutes in the ring, I'm talking about? He a doormat. I'm talking about straight. It's happened so many. So it's like things are not what they appear to be. So sometimes you just have to let the events unroll, unravel, and actually occur, so we could be able to judge it and whatnot. So for anybody that may be unfamiliar with the controversy that's going on and whatnot, they were saying that there was an interview with EYL on the Breakfast Club. In-N-Out, we going In-N-Out like the In-N-Out burger. What is that about? I don't know what that's about. I have no idea why. The mic is here, I don't know. That shit might have to fix itself. I have no idea. But anyway, so they had an interview at the Breakfast Club, and they basically said that they don't get the support of the city of Atlanta, right, when they've been doing these events and bringing buku dollars to Atlanta, right? Now, let me just throw this out for the record. Orlando, Vegas, Houston, and Atlanta are the 4 top convention cities in America, right? According to the data, right? Those are your top 4. Houston, Vegas, Atlanta, and Orlando. And I've said this before. I was like, yo, if you live in one of these convention cities and whatnot, there are a lot of advantages that you can basically take when you know how to move in a room full of entrepreneurs, when you know how to move in a room full of investors, when you know how to move in a room full of angel investors, when you know how to move in a room full of vultures, right? There's things that you could basically get in your favor. You know what I'm talking about? Especially if you got a mean walk. You know what I mean? Networking wise. You could be on some Thomas Crown Affair type shit and just assume personas and whatnot. You can assume roles. You can assume you might be a serial entrepreneur. You might be into apparel, but then you might be into electronics, but then you might also be into, ceramics and shit. I don't know. There's always something coming to town. There's always a convention. There's always a trade show. Take advantage. So anyway, Atlanta sees money all year around from conventions, right? Cool. So it's not like they have to wait for EYL to come into town in order to get a bag, right? But if you were to ask me, I might be biased. I don't know everything. I don't know what all of the conventions are about. I haven't been to all of them. That's not what I do. I haven't been to all of them. I stumbled upon some. I stumbled upon a textile convention in Atlanta. Blew my mind. I stumbled upon a convention where this is where they were. It was like it was in the same place where it was in the Georgia World Congress Center, in the exact same rooms that the InvestFest is in. And what this was a convention, a trade show where, let's say I own a gas station or a supermarket. I go there. I go to this trade show to buy my products. I'm talking about they had what's that, Diego, that brand that Diddy fell under, right? The brand, and they being sued right now, by the way. Let's talk about karma. Diego is facing a class lawsuit because it's been said that all of those liquors that they were selling at top price, like Casamigos, was not what they said it was. Them shits was mixed with like high fructose corn syrup, and they were cutting it. They were not giving it. It's not 100% what it says on the bottle, so they're being sued for being deceptive. But anyway, that's when I went and saw the conglomerate called Diego. I heard about Diddy suing them, but it took me to go there to see the Diego setup, and they showcase all of their brands. This was after the Ciroc was gone at this point. They already took that shit off of the list. But they had everything. Guinness, all type. I'm talking about brands that I didn't even know was underneath these people's umbrella. Then they had, I'm just talking about everything. Blunts. Drake's cakes. You know what I'm saying? Entenmann's. They had cereal. They had brands that covered only cereal. And they had brands that covered blunts, papers, hemps. It was dynamic. And the difference between this, right, a trade show and a convention is different. They were giving me stuff at the trade show. They was giving me bags of I went 2 days in a row. On the last day, people was running around with boxes of merchandise trying to get rid of it. Like, yo, take this, please. I don't want to bring this back. Too heavy. I'm like, shit, I will take that pack of 1,000 condoms. I mean, I don't know. It was just a bunch of stuff. I just wound up giving it out and whatnot. You feel me? But the trade shows and the conventions are different, right? Trade shows is where they give stuff away, and they're selling and whatnot. They're still selling, but they're not selling. They're selling wholesale, not retail. They're literally selling to stores. They're selling contracts and what they call doors. At these conventions like InvestFest, you have vendors such as myself and whatnot, and we're selling to the people. We're not giving away anything. We're selling. And what it's built around is the fact that they have this lineup. Let me pull the lineup. Let me just pull the lineup up. And mind you, this is not an endorsement. I don't work for EYL, but this is not a blind critique either. You feel me? This is not a blind critique of the EYL franchise and brand and whatnot. I will give a recap of InvestFest when it's over. I don't have no expectations. You feel me? I have no expectations whatsoever. I don't know what it is that I'm going to see. I'm not looking for nobody, to be honest with you. I'm literally there to do business. You know what I'm saying? But even with that, there's not too much that I can expect. You feel me? There's not too much that I could expect. I just have to show up, you know what I'm saying? And just be the best version of myself. But I do have... Let me pull this up. So, there's a lot of celebrities that surround this brand, right? That's not the worst thing in the world. You feel me? I'm not going to take it personal. I know there's some people out there that's like, oh my goodness, it's too celebrity driven and all of that. And I get it. You know what I mean? If I'm going somewhere and I want to know about investment, I mean, somebody would be like, I don't want to see Serena Williams. However, do you know that Serena Williams has a very powerful, quote unquote, brand? She is an investor. I believe she has an investment group and whatnot. I'm not 100% sure about what she's doing, but she's getting to that chicken. You know what I'm saying? Outside of playing tennis and whatnot. You know, her guy set her up, her husband and whatnot. You know what I mean? Her husband set that. He set her up. You know what I'm talking about? But let me see. Let me pull up the website because, you know. So yeah, it's heavy in the celebrity type of thing. And there's also critique that they don't do a lot of, they're not good when it comes to vetting their quote unquote, a lot of the people they've brought scammers and grifters on their platform. So people are definitely not feeling that and whatnot. And rightfully so. You feel me? Rightfully so. I really do feel like, there should be a little more quote unquote, what do they call that? A vetting process. There should be more of a vetting process that takes place, right? Some people may say, well, I can't get no information from Steve Harvey or Vic Mensa, pause, or, Nick Cannon and stuff like that. Is really just people wanting to see their favorite celebrities and fawning over them. And I'm like, shit, I don't got nothing to do with that. That's people are people. You're never going to turn around the fact that people they worship celebrities. They're celebrity worshipers. That's literally what drives the economy and whatnot. You feel me? Okay, so Serena has Serena Ventures and she invests in startups. Okay, she invests in startups, right? So Serena has invested in some fire ass startups. You know what I'm talking about? I was looking at her portfolio and I was smitten. I was like, okay, she's definitely either her or somebody on her team are doing their homework. And I'm suspecting that it's the husband because the husband is heavily steeped into that world of investment and the MAGA bros and all of that. And the MAGA bros, they are quietly getting fucking rich right now. Ever since Trump got in office, the MAGA bros is running it up. When I tell you they're running it up, please believe they not. You see, they not even on a racist. They chilling with the racism shit. They getting too much money. They committing too many financial crimes and whatnot. They're milking whole economies of countries. They're on their economic hitman shit. They in Venezuela. They in other places like Argentina. You know what I'm talking about? They done found these sellouts in Africa to run down on. Yeah, they outside milking shit. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, Serena, Steve Harvey, Nick Cannon. Man, I can't wait till I run into Mr. Nick Cannon, Milan Harris, Carl Mitchell, 19 Keys, Vic Mensa, Keith Lee, John Morgan, right? Yeah. Oh, man. Julian Brown, Nature Jab, Lala Anthony, Joey Badass. I'm just reading the celebrities. Jim Jones, Van Lathan, Terrence J. This is like the woke Avengers. Big Bank. Huh? Portia Williams, Hitmaker. Kendra G. Kenny Burns. Right? And a whole bunch of other people that I don't know. But I'm sure that I'll be very pleasantly pleased to meet some of these people and whatnot and see what they got going on. Because what I won't do is I won't assume. I'm not going to assume. I'm not going to slight anybody. I will not slight anybody everybody starts on a clean slate with me. I'll give everybody 3 minutes. Yeah, dig? Everybody's gonna get 3 minutes from me. I'll be able to see if I could, get former mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, who is running for governor, right? So here goes your political ties. Okay, they got pastors up in this bitch. So, this is like, you know what I'm saying? This is the new rebranded Black Excellence. I'm sure that's what is being assumed and whatnot. If you made it on this list, this is similar to getting on the Essence, 100 list and whatnot. You know what I'm talking about? This is like the Essence 100 and whatnot. There's an assumption that if you make it on this quote unquote lineup, you are doing something right in the world of business and finances. Now, this is what I will say beyond any reason, beyond any type of speculation and whatnot, not to shun the critics, right? Because once again, when it comes to the critics and what they have to say and whatnot, everybody has a right to their opinion. Everybody has a right to say what they got to say and how they see things. There goes Yaki Awaken right there, right? Everybody has the right to critique the way that they see things, especially if they're not in the building. I'm pleased to see a lot of melanated people in this field of finances and quote unquote, entrepreneurship. I don't know necessarily how much that rolls over into the collective, but I'm sure that each one of these people helps a family. I'm sure that each one of these people on this list and whatnot is of assistance to somebody in their community versus them being the opposite, being menaces to society, taking away from their community and whatnot, and being thorns in the sides of their community. I don't know these people, but I won't say necessarily that that's what everybody on this list represents. And for the most part, you feel me? For the most part, that's we're in the business of high frequency. We're in the business of upliftment. Justin Burns, that's my people. We're in the business of upliftment. Dr. Jatali right there. This sister right here, Dr. Jatali, she is the sister who funded. She's the one who was responsible for me and Blue Pill going to the United Kingdom in 2019, I believe. You feel me? She was one of our sponsors and whatnot. Okay. She was one of our sponsors. So, and she's very close to the brand and to the EYL family. I know that she's mad that she's at the bottom though. God damn. Why they do it like that? I know that she's bad. I just, cause I know her. I know why the hell? But anyway. So the tickets, right, is 300. It starts at 300, right? So 300 is $100 a day. So I would ask anybody in the audience, right? Now, mind you, we talking about 30,000 black people. When you go to the Invest Fest, yeah, there's sprinkles in the crowd and whatnot, but for the most part, my nigga, it's shea butter. It's shea butter and patchouli oil in the air. Okay? How is that helping the greater good? Are these people building institutions for the masses? Are they hiring and training black people, or are they black Europeans? Once again, I named a whole bunch of celebrities, but then I also showed you a litany of melanated people who are not necessarily the celebrities, and they're doing things like insurance. They're doing things like financial literacy. They're doing things like serial entrepreneurship, day trading, Forex, and all of that. They're doing things like what my brother Heru Ofari Atta is doing, right? They might not be on the same frequency of that man. They might not be on the same frequency of what we would call the intellectuals and whatnot. But at the end of the day, are the intellectuals building institutions for the masses? Are the intellectuals hiring and training black people? You feel me? Are the intellectuals known for that? Are they doing conventions? Because the intellectuals can't come together. The intellectuals can't come together. And the intellectuals, they never build nothing. Far as I know, the intellectuals are dying penniless. You know? That's what the intellectuals are doing. Dying penniless, and their children hate them. Last time I checked. We losing libraries. They losing a library. They losing everything. So I don't know what they doing. When I do my recap, I'll let you know if anybody got up there and was like, yo, we got 100 acres and this is what it looks like. I don't see too many people on this list or this quote unquote lineup that I see on IG that pop out and say, yo, I'm building, there's always a family, right? There's always like a family and whatnot. And I see it, they got 100 acres. It'd be like 15 of them. It'd be like 10 of them. And they'd be like, yo, we bought a ghost town, shit like that. I don't see them on these. I don't even see them being interviewed on EYL. I don't see them being interviewed on the Wednesday show. I don't see them being pedestaled. I don't see them being interviewed by David Shands. I don't see them being interviewed by none of these other brands that are even affiliated. No, they don't platform these people. I don't know why. They don't go live. I see EYL in Africa showing the build out of their stuff, but I've never seen them go to Hereafter Farms. I never seen them go to the 99 acres that the black family bought to shine light on them, to help them with their funding and whatnot. I haven't seen that. Shout out to the Acre Boys. I don't know if I've seen the Acre Boys on that lineup, but I know that the Acre Boys, that's what they do. And I met them. No, I met them on tour with Keys, but they've been at the Invest Fest for about 2 years already and whatnot. So it's not like nobody is up there that does that. But for the people that are critiquing the Invest Fest, right? Listen, there's 44 million of us in the USA, right? There's 44 million of us in the USA. This Invest Fest sold 31,000 tickets. That's not a lot. That's not a lot. There's more people that are available that could buy tickets to go to your shit. There's more people that are available to support what you are doing. Okay? So 300, you know what I'm saying? 300, that's $100 a day. That's $100 a day. And based off of the networking effect, based off of, the plethora of vendors selling their merchandise, selling their quote unquote services and their products, based off of the fact that you could go to all of these workshops, I don't see that too bad. I mean, literally, when I was in New York City, right? I promise you on God, on everything. The minute I went outside, it was $30. The minute I went outside in New York City was a 30 ball easily. They had, where my father was at, they had scooters outside, right? Then I stayed about a week in the studio working on this album. Everywhere that you go, they got those green scooters and whatnot. The minute you turn the scooter on and take off, that's immediate $8. I was going far on them scooters and them e-bikes and whatnot. $30. That's $30 off the rip. If I got into an Uber, $30. If I went to go get something to eat, I don't care what it was, $30 minimum. The minute you open your mouth in New York City, it's $30. You feel me? The first night on an e-bike, I didn't know about how to use the e-bikes before. I took it. Me and my daughter had an e-bike. I parked the e-bike, but I didn't park it the right way. Apparently, somebody must have came behind me and whatnot, because, they got like I was looking at it on a map. They damn near took that shit to Harlem and whatnot. They charged me $150. Huh? A e-bike, $150. Bro, New York City was all in my pockets, bro. What happened to $10 meals? Shit. When you find it, let me know. when you bro, everything in New York, everything is triple price now. That inflation, that tariff shit, all of that has hit New York, bro. I don't know if y'all noticed or not. I'm talking about it was expensive out there. It was no joke. It was no joke. So $30 just to go outside, right? You're gonna spend $100 if you move around. Don't be with somebody else. If you're in a relationship and you know what I'm saying, you fronting and you footing the bill and whatnot. If you got rugrats, you know what I'm saying? If you got rugrats with appetites, you know what I mean? Yeah, you're getting cooked. You said cooking at home. When you go to the grocery store. Yeah, you gotta go cook at home. But you still gonna spend. You in a relationship and she, you know what I'm saying? She been on the internet and she's listening to Young Miami and she's not going for you pay, I pay, we doing it Dutch. She's not a Dutch master. Yeah, you getting booked. Yeah, you gonna go through it. Don't let her be on some don't let her be on Sex in the City New York type tour, like the Sex in the City New York type shit, because they all want to eat at Say Less. They want to go to like you know what I'm saying? They want luxury New York. Because if Shorty is not from New York and you bring her to New York, she's gonna want to go to everything on TikTok New York. And all that shit is $30 and up to breathe. Yeah, so you might wanna when you go to New York, you gonna spend that shit. Facts. I couldn't wait to get about that bitch. You are going to spend that shit. Yeah, they want them $80 plates at a minimum. You know the girls is into oxtails these days. You know what I'm talking about? The ladies is into the oxtails these days. The oxtail is starting at 30. God damn it. The oxtails are starting at 30, fam. I remember going to Aldi's when shit was bad in 2011. I discovered Aldi's because I had rabbit ears in my pockets, nigga. And I ran up in Aldi's and I was like, I was in Atlanta. You know what I'm talking about? I was like, blessings. Yes. These no frill cans of motherfucking string beans. I'm finna bust these down. Yeah, the shorties is on oxtails. They want jerk oxtails. You know what I'm talking about? They want fancy. They want oxtail pizza and all of that. Yeah, they gonna cook you, bro. They gonna cook you, man. This is the best time to turn into a monk. I promise you. Right now. For all of my people, it was inspired by the monks walking and whatnot. Yeah, this is the best. You should have walked with them niggas. This is the best time to turn into a monk. Facts. Yeah, I was at Aldi's before I was Rich Phil. Or on guard. You know what I'm saying? On ganging them. I'm not, for real. Rich, yeah, before he was Rich Phil. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, I was struggling Phil. I was in Aldi's, my nigga, with a budget too. It wasn't like I was in Aldi's with a bag. I'm in Aldi's with a budget. You know what I'm talking about? It was still a struggle. But I'm in Aldi's with a budget. You know what I'm trying to figure out how to break down $10, nigga. Like, it was real in the field. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, man. This is the time. You know what I'm talking about? To go chill in a mountain somewhere. And, everybody is on their spiritual shit. You know what I'm saying? Hey, we want to be super spiritual. I'm hearing you niggas. Yeah, why y'all not in the mountains? Because the surroundings don't match the intentions. Yeah, go to the mountain, my nigga. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. It's going to look good on you. You know? It's going to look good on you. Because all of that, I want to be... The fifth dimension, we talking, yeah. Why y'all not in the woods, nigga? Huh? Why y'all not on top of a mountain somewhere? Why y'all not in a monastery? You know what I'm talking about? Y'all outside. Y'all outside. You can't be in New York and be like, yo, I'm on my spiritual shit. How, Sway? Them niggas in New York is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. You see it. You don't need me to tell you. You see it, nigga. That is Gotham City for real, for real. You know what I'm talking about? How? I just want to know. That's a great juggling act. Nigga, when I'm in New York, I would love to be on my spirituals. No crystals, all pistols. You gotta be, you know what I'm saying? You gotta be on gorilla monsoon mode out there. You can't be outside not on swivel. It's not like I'm looking for no trouble, but I can't be all meek and mook out in New York City. The energy is too fucking ratchet for me. You know what I mean? The energy is too ratchet. There's no Wi-Fi in the mountains. I mean, y'all don't need Wi-Fi. Niggas is tapped in. What do you need Wi-Fi for when you got the ancestors? You know what I'm talking about? I need to see more of my people in the mountains. Is there an Aldi's in New York? Yes, I believe so. It's not a lot of them, but I do believe that I seen one in Bay Plaza and whatnot. Yeah, all pistols, no crystals. You know what I'm saying? That weird energy, man. You know what I mean? Like, nah, I would love to be on it. I gotta wait till I go to Asia or somewhere in like Malaysia. You know what I'm saying? I gotta go to Bali and whatnot to relax. You feel me? You can't be a monk in New York, nigga. They will step on you. But yeah, 2,500. I don't know. I mean, hey, you know, if you like it, I love it. You know what I'm saying? But $300. And then you had the mayor from Atlanta, Andre Dickerson. Andre, Mr. Mayor Andre. He's a black man. You know what I mean? What's the dude, Gilliam from Florida? Remember the Gilliam guy? Was he running for mayor or governor? I know he got caught in a hotel with some guys the other day. I think it was Sydney Starr. But anyway, I don't think Mayor Dickens is on that type of time and whatnot. But Mayor Dickens, right? Mayor Dickens. Well, let me look up his name. Let me not butcher his name. I think that's what his name is. This nigga, he likes the attention because he's been talking about this interview. Yeah, Mayor Dickens. Yeah, pause. Mayor Dickens has been talking about this interview with EYL probably like 20. I must have seen him 20 times talking about it. Dead ass. And they talked about it. They brought his name up. They didn't even say his name on everything. They only said the city of Atlanta. So I guess he's the mayor. He's like, nigga, I got this. Hold my beer. Hold my smoothie. Hold my martini. I got this. Right? I don't know if he's Boulay or not. I don't know. Y'all go ahead and do the research. Give me the dossier on Mayor Dickens and whatnot. But homie is clout chasing. He's worse than 38 Special right now. You know what I'm talking about? That nigga's on 38 Special type of time. He is trolling. Like, son is he's doing interviews. He was at a church the other day. He gave out like $50,000 and he was like, I heard people talking they on that Atlanta shit now. I heard people talking about the great city of Atlanta where black excellence lives and all that. If they got a problem with Atlanta, I'm like, here we go again. Here we go with the Atlanta shit. You know what I'm talking about? When it was simply a conversation. I think there was miscommunication on the half of the EYL and the fact that they got on a Breakfast Club and with Charlemagne and everything. I think that people took an offense to that. Right? I think that they took a offense to that. Somebody said, y'all don't like 38, huh? Nah, 38 is cool. I like 30. I just think that he's a horrible clout chaser. You know what I mean? I think that the move that he did when it comes to this whole internet shit was the wackest shit that somebody of his stature could ever do. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't take away from his rhyming skills. That doesn't take away from his intellect. He's intellectual, but he's so intellectual that it was like, what kind of move is that? Like, but we'll talk about that. We've been talking about it, and we could continue to talk about it. But in the game of chess, I don't see him on that board looking real tough right now. I don't see his chess moves. It doesn't look good to me. And that's just from my perspective and my vantage point. And I was in New York when all of that was going down. You feel me? I was in the town when that shit was going down. I felt the energy and everything. And I'm like, why? 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 That's the same thing that I asked Polite when he started to be a debater. Why? Why would you bring your family all across America for 4 years and build your name up? You doing lectures, you staying clean, your jacket is clean, and now you want to debate. And the first debate that he jumped in, he got washed, and he was never the same after that. So it's like, why would you build your career up being this independent mogul? It's 38 Special. You built your career up. You the 38 mogul. You built all of these artists and everything to throw it away, trying to go after Jadakiss, a legend. And that mission has failed miserably. Miserably. You can't win that one. That shit failed. You crashed your car on that, fam. You know? That didn't work out for you. And now somebody might get hurt. There may be a body over that. Somebody might get bodied. There may be bloodshed over some simple ass rap beef. And it wasn't even a beef. It was a nigga in his feelings. And I don't really respect that at the end of the day. I'm a little biased, however, but I can't co-sign that. Hell nah. Cause that's gonna give a bunch of lames the excuse to do the same thing. You know? Give me 1 minute. So going back to this whole thing about Andre Dickens and whatnot, and he's basically with the Dickens. He's basically like, he's taking it personal. He's taking it personal. He's like, oh, I don't know why they're talking about Atlanta. We do this and we do that and we do this. And I'm not taking nothing away from Atlanta. And I'm not, and it's weird that it's these two brands that are having that conversation, because ultimately he more than likely is going to come out on the stage and they're going to bury the hatchet because, that's just what it is. I kind of seen the play already. I already know what's going on. Certain people just want to get next to certain people, and that will eventually happen and whatnot. I just think that this was a conversation that was it wasn't presented and it wasn't articulated, and I don't think that it was unpacked the right way. So that's where the confusion is coming in. You know what I'm saying? Charlemagne is an agent. Yeah, more than likely is. More than likely is. I am not a big fan of Charlemagne. Everybody shouldn't, I think everybody knows that. But yeah, the Invest Fest. So there's always been controversy around this thing. There's always been people throwing their hat in the ring, and I encourage everybody to always be critical, right? Don't allow nothing. Don't jump on no bandwagons. Don't be happy-go-lucky for nothing, because nothing is perfect, right? Like, here's the partners, right? So it's big money in the building. I think BlackRock is in here. They got BlackRock. Look, BlackRock. You feel me? Cash App. You feel me? Charles fucking Schwab, my nigga. Like, hello, Invesco. But listen, State Farm. I mean, some people would be like, fight the power. And they would be, look, Yaki though. Yaki is there, right? Okay. And my dude, Justin Burns, apps built with AI. So these are the sponsors and whatnot. You feel me? These are the partners. You feel me? At the end of the day, even if it's not EYL, right? Family, if you're in business, this is the ultimate look right here. To be a partner on one of the biggest stages and whatnot, and to have your name up here. This is a flex. Yeah, fuck being a vendor. I would just pay the bag and be on this thing and then walk around and rub shoulders and let everybody know, yeah, I'm a partner. That to me holds more weight than being a vendor. But yeah, these are the partners. But people may be offended. BlackRock, oh my goodness, Invesco, yeah, nigga, it's a financial, it's financial literacy. This is about finances. This is not a spiritual conference. This is not a fight the power conference. You feel me? This is not this is not We Buy Black. This is EYL, Earn Your Leisure. And if you follow the brand, then you know that the brand has they sit down with people from all backgrounds. They're not biased. They don't their corporate identity or their quote unquote brand is a brand that is affiliated with all different walks of life. You know, you feel me? You know, so that's some of their partners. You feel me? Yeah, talk, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, how many people in the audience works for one of these brands in real life? Dr. Boyce Watkins All Black National Convention is more than InvestFest on the general ticket, and the VIP is less. You see how that moves? His general is $354 and theirs is $300. Right? Once again, I'm not speaking up for nobody. I'm just giving clarity to a situation that has a lot of people talking and whatnot. That's all I'm doing. You feel me? I've critiqued the event, and more than likely I'll have my pros and I have my cons when it's over, just from a journalistic perspective and whatnot. And you know, and that's well deserved. Okay. Used to sell bamboo pipes on the West End. Dope. Stop hating on the South. I'm from New York. I've been in NC for nearly. Racism is more prevalent in the North. Is that right? Is that right? No doubt. No doubt. It's a different kind of racism in the North. You feel me? It's a different type of racism. It's like a systematic racism. All right, Riri, I see you out there. I'm going to give you my booth number in a minute. You know? What does Dr. Boyce Watkins actually sell? Well, you're paying to see people talk to you. I guess you're going to be paying for the lineup. You know? You're going to pay for the lineup. You're going to pay to sit in front of the experts that he brings inside of the workshops or he brings on the main stages and whatnot. I'm under the assumption that that's what that justifies the ticket, right? Okay. Systematic is right. Yeah. The North has systematic racism. They smiling in your face and whatnot, and they doing you dirty and whatnot. You feel me? They price gouging, they redlining and doing all of that stupid crazy stuff. In the South, it's assumed that they'll call you a ninja to your face. It's assumed that they'll call you a ninja to your face and just be very disrespectful. However, the white folks that I see down South show me all of their teeth. You know? They show me all of their teeth. I don't stick around long enough to see them show their fangs and whatnot because, once again, that's how that shit starts. It starts with them showing you their teeth. Okay? It starts with them showing you their teeth, and then when you get lured and you get suckered in, right, they're gonna show you their fangs. That's how that works. Okay, so you gotta be, you gotta be careful. You feel me? You gotta be very careful. You gotta be mindful. There's so many stories that are out here right now for people who look like us, who basically was, they saw white people's teeth, and you know what I mean? They saw their teeth and they got hypnotized by that. You know what I mean? They got comfortable. You know what I'm saying? And once they got comfortable, the fangs came out. And that's happening a lot now. There's a lot of crash out happening and whatnot. Y'all be careful in them streets. Y'all be very mindful about the crash out. They crashing the fuck out. We're going to be talking about that tonight. I think I might name this Mayonnaise Meltdown Part 4. A lot of mayonnaise meltdown. It might be the heat. But when we talk about Atlanta and we talk about Mayor Dickens and whatnot, and we talk about, ATL and black excellence, I also always have to mention that Atlanta has a police problem, right? Now, when I say a police problem, I don't necessarily mean the actual black police that are employed by the city of Atlanta, right? If you ever wanted to go somewhere to see cops do the stanky leg and basically, might hit the motherfucking hookah pipe with you, that's Atlanta. Not outside of Atlanta, not Cobb County, my niggas, not Smyrna, the city of Atlanta, that small, quote unquote, circumference, that small ratio, right? They'll chill with you. They'll smoke the hookah and do the stanky leg and whatnot. You see police hollering. Ladies, talk black to me. Has it happened to you? Were you in the scope of a APD officer who was trying to riz you up, talking about, I want to handcuff you, right? So I'm not talking about that as the police problem. The police problem that I'm speaking about is the police that we don't see. That's the problem with Atlanta. It's the police that we don't see, because the police that we do see are somewhat like chess pieces. They are like pawns in this bigger quote unquote chess game, because unbeknownst to people and whatnot, Atlanta is the most surveilled city in America. Okay? Atlanta is the most surveilled city in America. What does that mean, Red Pill? That means that not only is the cop city out here, and remember, the U.S. government, they merged. The U.S. merged with Is It Real? So what does that mean? That means the IDF has now merged not only into the military, they're merging into law enforcement. And what does that mean? That means that you're going to be dealing with these people who've been dealing with these other people in Gaza. You're going to be dealing with some real demonic people in a minute. And you're going to be dealing with some high level of surveillance that people are not ever used to. Drone surveillance, flock surveillance, motherfucking pulse weapons and shit like that. Like, bruh, the shit that they're rolling out, Atlanta is a test city. Now I'm thinking, I'm like, damn, I'm like, who the fuck? Why would all, like, out of all places, how the hell is Black Mecca being targeted to be the most quote unquote, surveilled city in America? Because them politicians, them same boule politicians that are upset that EYL is talking about they're not getting treated right, and they're not getting their quote unquote, they're not getting they don't feel the love. Well, Israel feels the love in Atlanta. Somebody is feeling the love in Atlanta, and them rednecks is feeling the love in Atlanta. Them quote unquote drone companies are feeling the love in Atlanta. They feeling the love. So I'm like, damn, that's crazy, right? That they use in Atlanta as a test subject, as a guinea pig to lock these. I'm talking about, this is the policing that Trump promised when he did his inauguration, when he said we're in the golden age of America, but he also said we're bringing back law and order. He said that in his first term, right? He had Jeff Sessions and all of them. You feel me? He had what's that dude that Steve Bannon and all of them with him. Now he got Stephen Miller, Peter Thiel, and a bunch of crazy ball heads and whatnot. And they are utilizing this new technology. Because it's not just the flock cameras. The flocks is just the beginning. They're using this new technology to basically, to use the city as a test subject, right? So when I see these politicians politicking and doing that politrick shit, I'm like, the people should be more questionable, right? As to why the fuck did they sell the people out? Why did they sell the city out? This is the city of MLK. This is the city that quote unquote civil rights built. But this is also the most surveilled city in all of America and home to Cop City, my niggas. Right? So let's get into this flock talk. You know what I mean? Shout out to Waka Flocka. Let's get into this Flocka talk. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
And in reality, we really need to be. It's not that we hate the flock cameras. No, seriously, we don't hate the goddamn flock cameras. We hate the people operating them. We don't like the people that are taking advantage of the functionality, and they completely shifted the intentionality of said flock cameras. Hey, how you doing? I'm your host, Real Good Have a Goddess, and we are going to take a deep dive into this whole flock camera situation because I fear that fear is being used in this circumstance as a means to like push us in a direction and create a narrative with these flock cameras, when in reality, we really need to be focusing more on the people that are operating the flock cameras and the systems in which they like to use in order to basically shift the player board or the chessboard, okay? So it's no secret that more and more police officers are getting caught for using the flock cameras to stalk their exes, to stalk people that they have grudges and grievances over, and to do commit all types of crimes. I mean, the list goes on and on. I've been reading articles behind the police officers and the law enforcement agents that have been getting caught mishandling and misusing these flock cameras. And as someone who lived in not one, but two areas in the state where the flock cameras were not only tested, but they were improved, Arizona, look it up, because during the pandemic, they shifted everything. I mean, they put them up on the highways, they put them up on the streets, they put them everywhere. And I had no idea what they were, but I also had no idea that these flock cameras would end up being the one thing that not only kept me out of jail because I beat a bitch ass on the freeway for acting like, you know what, that's not important. Okay, that's not important. She should have never threw shit out the car directly to my car, and that hoe followed me directly to my child's school, okay? And you damn right at the intersection, I walked that bitch down, dragged her out her car through the seatbelt and walked that hoe down. The entire thing was caught on camera in the intersection. I knew my black ass was going to jail. I was like, I'm going to jail. Shanika, get the bail money ready because I'm going to jail. I walked that bitch down to the ground, okay? I feel bad because her shit lumped up and she called the cops and I'm going to jail. Lo and behold, I did not know that they had the flock cameras on the highway. They had the flock cameras from the block where the incident first ensued, which I'll admit, I was wrong. I accidentally cut her off when I was turning the corner. I apologized in the midst of the whole ordeal. I rolled down my window, was like, oh, sorry, my bad, girl, I almost hit you. I'm so sorry. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm like halfway awake. I'm sorry. That happens. That's a normal thing. People are going to cut you off on the road. Not intentionally. Not everybody's intentionally an asshole. And someone hit me from the back. They cut me off and then they ended up, running into my car. You want to know what I did? No, I did. I hugged that woman because I could see the stress in her eyes. Totally different situation. I could see the stress in her eyes. She did not mean to hit me from the back. I looked at my bumper. It wasn't even a scratch. It was an accident. 7 o'clock in the morning. We both moms trying to get our kids to school. And I know that baby in that back seat, she doing you in. Okay? Stressing your ass out. It's all right, girl. Go on about your day. Don't worry about it. We Gucci. The other situation, in which, I ended up walking this other lady down at the intersection. I had no idea that the flock cameras had caught the entire ordeal. And they proved my innocence. They proved that that woman chased me for over 22 minutes, throwing things out the window, in which it ended up denting my car in 3 separate places and scratching the window. They could see down to the brand name of thermos that she threw at my car that scratched my window. They could see the Owala on the front of the cup. It's not the cameras, it's the people behind it. I need to make something perfectly clear. The laws and the way that things will be moving forward need to shape who gets administrative access, who gets the ability to do what using these cameras, and they need to be tracked 24/7. Because I can promise you, I've seen the flock cameras in action myself. The police officers, the motorcycle police officers, they showed me on their laptop. They zoomed all the way in, and bitch, you could see my lace on them fucking block cameras from inside of the car. I was shocked. And when my mama got a ticket and she tried to blame it on me because we got the same name, it was those flock cameras that proved that she was a lying ass heifer and that she needed to take her ass out of that court because it was not me that was driving that car that day. It was you. And those flock cameras got you on candid camera, and they even had a QR code with the video itself, because sometimes they just send you a picture in the mail that shows your license plate. Other times they send you a picture in the mail that shows you from the front. In this particular case, the shadow was kind of covering her a little bit, so I scanned the QR code, went to the website, and it was a 5-second clip of her running a red light, in which I zoomed in and the sunlight hit her face from one angle, and I said, "That's you lying heifer. This is your ticket." Yours. Again, that's 2 separate incidences where flock cameras actually saved my life. My question is are we going to be mad at the technology, or should we control the people that are trying to utilize it? Because it's clear to us that we already knew that a lot of the police force and the law enforcement we have in America, they ain't wrapped too tight upstairs. They are not wrapped too tight. And before the flock cameras even came, the previous systems and tools and equipment that they had available to them were being used so that they can stalk their exes. It sounds like the technology has changed over time, but the people and the way that they are approaching the situation has not changed. People, the issue is not with the flock cameras. The issue is with the people. Because those same exact flock cameras, we need to be asking ourselves, why are they not being used to bring little kids that are being snatched up home? Y'all so been busy sending me all these goddamn alerts on my phone back to back. If you see something, say something. It looks like you can see everything to me. I saw a cop zoom in on me inside of my car, and I could see my fucking lace from the camera. Why are you not using that to find missing individuals? Why are you not using that to be able to spot crime happening in real time, like a carjacking? That's what those cameras need to be used for, not for the nefarious things that they're using them for, to track down people that they assume are illegal citizens. Because there's no possible way that you could tell just from looking through a camera that somebody is not an American citizen. I'm sorry, but it just don't make sense to me. Why are they not being used to be able to track and monitor people that are career criminals and that are more than likely in the midst of doing something they're not supposed to fucking be doing? You see where I'm going with this, America? Do you see where I'm going with this? This equipment in the right hands could be used to do a lot of great things to protect the United States, the citizens of the United States, and to ensure that we are able to live in a level of safety in which we assume we lived in. But unfortunately, we don't live in that anymore. Also, last but certainly not least, why are we not using these flock cameras to zero in on Jeffrey Epstein's island? You know what I mean? Don't he got a ranch in like Las Vegas or some shit like that? Why are we not using the flock cameras to keep an eye on that? Why are we not using the flock cameras to ensure that Israel is not planting bombs or planning another false flag operation? I can think of a long list of things that these flock cameras can be used for. They could use these flock cameras to track down dogs that have gone missing, elderly senior citizens that go missing from their homes. They can use that to track them. They can connect these flock cameras to so many things and have it bounce off of so many things, but instead they would rather just look the other way and continue to pretend like a lot of their law enforcement officers are not struggling mentally and taking it out on everyday average American citizens. Unfortunately, these flock cameras are being used for nefarious activities that include attacking American citizens. And even if they don't have their citizenship, who gives a fuck? Because a land that was founded on stolen land can never tell me or anybody else who isn't a citizen of this country. This is supposed to be the greatest melting pot in the world, the greatest country in the world. The freedom, love, freedom, ring. This is what it's supposed to be, right? All right. So let's stop using the flock cameras to do crazy shit like tracking down random people that are black and brown, calling them Haitian and Mexicans, and using it to stalk and harass regular everyday working class citizens, and start using this to track down people who like to touch on kids, people who like to rob the elderly, people who like to take advantage of a situation. Let's use those flock cameras for good. People who like to steal other people's cars, use those flock cameras to track them people down. There's so many other things that we could be using these flock cameras for. It's not the flock cameras. It's the people using them. Stay tuned, because there's a lot more to go. And for those of you guys that don't understand how the flock cameras are being positioned and set up within a certain area, the thought came to me because in the area I lived in Arizona, these flock cameras were around the school. And when I tell you that school, I will not give you a name of the school, but when I tell you that school was like legit, like they was what? Listen, from the principal to the team, they was not around. Do you hear me? They wasn't playing. It was not one but two of these, one on one side of the street, the other one on the other, and 5 police officers that regularly patrolled in the morning and the afternoon. And then we had 2 of them, one at the entrance and one at the other exit, that would go back and forth, back and forth. And there was another cop that was like right there where the front door was, where the kids were being dismissed at. That shit was locked. It was on lock.
So it's all fine and dandy, right? It's all fine and dandy until they put out a edict where they're gonna start rounding people up. It's all fine and dandy until they put people's faces on the Summer Jam screen and they like, yo, go, you know, these are enemies of the state, right? It's all fine and dandy, right? Until they start using those things when they have this national digital ID rollout. And they're like, yo, you won't be able to travel. You won't be able to move down the highway. You won't be able to, quote unquote, move around unless you're down with this, quote unquote, unless you got this mark of the beast. And we're going to use these flock cameras to read out your phones and to follow you and to track you and all of that. Shit crazy. Let's continue to go down the flock rabbit hole. No flocking. Shout out to Kodak.
Backlash against flock is so great at this point that cities are now installing a new kind of AI.
Also, pay attention to the propaganda. Also, pay attention to the Hegelian dialect. Also, pay attention to the fact that they're throwing these flocks out there, but they definitely got another one up their sleeves. Check it out.
Surveillance camera made by this company called Axon, disguised in things like digital speed signs, with 53 cities having removed their flock cameras only to replace them with Axon mounted cameras.
So the big question is, what is going on here? Well, let's talk about who owns Flock and who owns Axon. Okay, on one side, Flock, you have investment groups like Andreessen Horowitz. That is Mark Andreessen's group, the Conehead guy. Further down the list, you see highlighted Founders Fund. That is Peter Thiel's group. Y Combinator below that, that is the group that used to be run by Sam Altman. And then on the other side, Axon, that is a public company that is 91% owned by institutional investors. BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street. That's the big 3, and they are the top 3 shareholders of the company. I hope you guys are noticing a little bit of a pattern here. It's Silicon Valley technocrats on one side with Flock, and the other side, Wall Street bankers and finance. Okay, almost every single piece of content that I've come across about mass surveillance specifically targets Flock, not necessarily the mass surveillance industrial complex as a whole. So I thought, that is very interesting. Could it be a coincidence?
So the same people that brought you Taser, I'm assuming that that's the company behind the Tasers, are the same people behind the Axon. Huh?
Coincidence? Maybe. But here's something that we do know for sure about all of this is that Donald Trump earlier this year invested millions of dollars into Axon Enterprise. Then I saw MAGA influencers starting to get involved in the conversation. Here, Tim Pool is talking about how flock cameras are really just AI law enforcement. Again, the target is specifically laser focused on Flock. Matt Walsh just did a deep dive a couple days ago about Flock. You guys perhaps picking up what I'm putting out there? And then I came across this reporting from Tony Ortiz, a reporter from Texas, who claimed, quote, at least 2 influencers he's spoken to have been approached with offers of money in exchange for posting negatively about flock cameras on X. So now it's not just a theory. We're talking about a possible paid influencer campaign. Weird, to say the least. And then this next part is an absolute doozy, okay? In 2015, Jeffrey Epstein partnered with former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak to invest in a security tech startup called Reporty Homeland Security, now known as Carbon. Yes, Jeffrey Epstein and Israel is a part of this story, as they usually are. Because guess who owns Carbon now? That's right, Axon. The key takeaway for all of us has to be that we can't get hung up on Flock or any other individual company, but we have to fight against mass surveillance as a whole.
Ease people's minds about these.
I can speak for the Knoxville Police Department, and I can speak for our commitment as an agency to use this technology the right way. Our commitment to building, again, policies, strong policies that ensure that the technology is used the way it was intended to be used, and that we are committed absolutely to being transparent with how we're using that technology. Just talking about LPRs is, again, circling back to this, is it is one of the most impactful investigative tools that have come into policing in decades. And so I want people just to really hope that people will take the time to understand how their police department is using LPRs, the policies that we have in place, and how we deal with these situations, whether it has to do with LPRs or anything else.
So I'm going to continue, but I have to say this, right? What you're witnessing right now is a build out, right? And this is a gradual build out, but we always have to stay focused as to what their end game is. Keep in mind, they rolled things out for 15 years. They rolled things out for 10 years. When they jump out with something and it's thrown right in your face, that's literally on some martial law. They know that that'll start riots. So things get rolled out. Okay? There's a 2030 agenda, right? They just put a report out the other day talking about reducing populations of the planet by half, right? They're saying that there's 8 billion, but the planet could only hold 4. Okay? You already know what that is. There was 4 billion people. No. I said 4 billion. How many people was at the funeral in Iran or Iran? It was a lot. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot. It wasn't half the planet, but it was a lot. Right? So they've already somewhat, in so many ways put out their quote unquote agenda. The agenda has already been rolled out in so many ways. This happened all the way in like 2019 when they were talking about stomping out the carbon footprint, and they literally had a phase. They literally say we're going to phase this thing out over the next 10 years. Right? So when you see this whole thing about these cameras being set up and the fact that they could not only read, they could not only read the license plate if you drive in a car and the flock camera picks up your phone signal, it literally can strip all of your data and it can hack into your phone. Okay, so you're talking about being traced, being tracked, drones overhead, flock cameras all on the highways and the streets, ring cameras. You understand? Store cameras, right? So right now, it's okay. People are accepting it because they're like, oh, it's going to help keep niggas with face tats out of my neighborhood. It's going to keep crime down. True indeed. But what happens when a race war happens? What happens when Donald Trump, something happens to the orange and they declare martial law? What about that? You know what I'm talking about? What about that? What about when shit really switches up quickly and these devices that they've been putting into place and these quote unquote, these Trojan horses, right? Because these are the Trojan horses that you saw in the movie Odyssey. We are now living in this society where you can now see things for what it is, right? These are the Trojan horses and whatnot. What about when the flock cameras are attached to the robot dogs, are attached to the quote unquote predator drones, are attached to the quote unquote land drones? What about that? That's where I'm looking. I'm not looking at it right now. And they're encouraging people to destroy the flock cameras. Once again, look at what just happened with Texas with the marijuana, with the new weed law in Texas, right? Look at what happened in Texas with the weed law. You could get life in Texas for having marijuana. Did you know that? They just went into effect. You could get life in Texas for having weed in 2026. So what do you think they're going to be using this technology for? They're building all of these damn data centers in these FEMA camps. And this private prison shit is kicking off. Huh? Life.
When there might be anything that's outside of policy. And so that's what I would say when you're looking at technology, the RTIC. We're an open book. We've got nothing to hide. And we want the community to understand what technology we're using and how we're using it.
You say to ease people's minds?
Texas spent $4.5 million on Tahoes equipped with phone tracking.
Here we go. Here's the Texas play. If you follow the paper trail, then you could see the play. Shout out to all of my Texans and whatnot. But yeah, it might be time to move around, my nigga. They just criminalize your whole entire state.
Here we go. Police vehicles in Texas will now be able to hack into your phone while you drive by, even if you aren't a suspect. Texas spent $4.5 million on Tahoes equipped with phone tracking surveillance tech made by Israeli-based company Cogrite. This tech simulates a mobile phone tower, forcing nearby phones to connect to it, which enables cops to keep nearby tabs on any phones and devices in the vicinity. This is in a few other states too, not just Texas, and it's coming to every single state based on the UN's 2030 agenda. You can look it up on the website. They say there will be no crime by 2030, universal everything, no poverty, no hunger, and their plan is to make all these unrealistic things possible by sticking their nose up our asses to...
So you remember when I just brought up the 2020 agenda and the 2030 agenda? Here he go reading it and whatnot. You feel me? These people are out here running a fucking play.
Control, quite literally.
And what are we being? Distracted, hoodwinked, bamboozled, put to sleep, rage baited, and all type of shit. Chimping out, right? That's how they got our people right now. Spin that shit. Spin that shit. What's the other one? He want my whoop-de-doo. What's that? My ba-da-da-da-da. I'm going to go pull the lyrics out. Give me 1 minute. Hold on.
While you drive by, even if you aren't a suspect. Texas spent $4.5 million on Tahoes equipped with phone tracking surveillance tech made by Israeli-based company Cogrite. This tech simulates a mobile phone tower, forcing nearby phones to connect to it, which enables cops to keep nearby tabs on any phones and devices in the vicinity. This is in a few other states too, not just Texas, and it's coming to every single state based on the UN's 2030 agenda. You can look it up on the website. They say there will be no crime by 2030, universal everything, no poverty, no hunger, and their plan is to make all these unrealistic things possible by sticking their nose up our asses to control quite literally everything about our lives without your approval. They will be surveilling everything we do. Hell, look around. They already are. Flock cameras, meta glasses, government surveillance, and kill switches in cars. It makes you wonder what all those data centers are for. I've been trying to tell y'all, the U.S. will be a complete totalitarian state soon, and they'll mask it as safety. You better get you a plan together. My plan is to teach everyone how to step outside the system, become self-reliant, make your own money, get your own land, and learn how to self-defend you and yours with your own tribe.
So once again, I do not want to be the bearer of this quote unquote negative news. I don't see it more as negative news other than awareness. I'm on an awareness campaign. I don't want to be the one sharing that type of stuff. However, you know, somebody has to put that out there. But there's other ways that we could look around and whatnot and get around some of these people, because the devil is always up to no good, but Allah is the best of planners, right? But awareness is very key. Awareness is very key, just to see how certain people are playing their game of chess, because this is chess and not checkers, right? But what alarms me, right? What alarms me and what makes me feel like I should talk about this rather than talk about the spaceships and whatnot is the fact that while all of these nefarious laws are being passed, this administration, it's not really the laws, it's the administration. It's the fact that the administration is being run by cokehead criminals and whatnot. So it's affecting every other municipality and all of these other criminals inside of government and whatnot. They don't feel that they have to answer to anyone. They don't feel obligated to quote unquote oblige and follow no type of law, no type of constitution, none of that. They are literally a rogue state at this point. And law enforcement is covering up murders against our own people. I'll show you some of that as well. They're covering up these quote unquote race, because on the same day of the Montgomery quote unquote riots, which was yesterday, they found a black woman hanging. So what are we talking about? In Mississippi. So what are we talking about? Like they have their soldiers hanging people and the popo is covering it. They're covering up for them and whatnot. There's a bunch of shit going on literally right now. And then they're rage baiting our people with the Nolan Wells things and all of that other stuff. The fact that they brought Nancy Grace. Nigga, Nancy Grace is a race baiter. What are you talking about? Nancy Grace is there to rile you niggas up. What do you mean? Niggas is like, oh, Nancy is on the case. Nigga, Nancy fucking Grace? You niggas is putting your faith in Nancy Grace? Yeah, you're not going to make it.
Somebody that you care about likes marijuana and is in Texas, you need to watch this video. Texas is now a state where it's better for you to have a first-time DUI than for you to be found with synthetic marijuana products. If they catch you with even a little bit of cartridge, a little bit of Delta 8, they're gonna bring the hammer down on you. I should have had a hander. Where's my prop department? You can now get up to 2 years and a state jail felony for having a THC cartridge.
So if you weed free, right? If you don't smoke the marijuana, you have nothing to worry about. However, if you have like a young one and you don't want them going to jail for having a cartridge or a vape pen, right? If you don't want to see people, because yeah, you could live in Texas and be chilling in Texas, but I wouldn't be a comfortable taxpayer, especially a melanated person, knowing that they putting niggas on a chain gang for having a roach. You understand? I just won't move around comfortably paying my taxes, hee-haw, keying with all of the white folk and everything and acting like everything is good, turning the cheek and whatnot while they're implementing a form of slave labor on the people. And then you'll turn into you'll vicariously turn into one of these Texans and whatnot, or you'll vicariously turn MAGA and you'll be like, they shouldn't be smoking it anyway. Good for them. Good riddance. They have face tats. We don't need them anyway. You'll turn into that, a black Karen. I've seen it happen before. Because you'll conform because you don't want to face the reality of how this shit is going down in front of your face, and they're doing it in your face.
Or for having Delta 8. And it doesn't matter if you bought this stuff legally in a store a week ago, a month ago, they don't care. I'm a little bit of a drinker. Might have a Diet Dr. Pepper, might put some whiskey in it. Woo! This ain't my battle, but I'm angry on behalf of other people. Texas used to be land of the free. Every week I wake up and I go, oh shit, we can't do that anymore. If you are a person that has these cartridges, you gotta throw them away. You definitely can't travel with them. The penalties are not worth the risk. Obviously, don't break the law. I have to tell you that as an attorney. But the difference between having a little bit of synthetic marijuana in a cartridge right now and having a little bit of flour is insane.
Super insane. Super insane. So all of this comes with this quote unquote ban that they have on THC. I think it's THCA. Right? There's a ban on THCA and there's a ban on CBD, right? Reminds me of Reefer Madness back in the days and whatnot, with Anslinger and the fact that they penalize and they criminalize the quote unquote marijuana, the marijuana, right? The marijuana. So, people are making moves and whatnot to position themselves to prepare to protect themselves. Now, I am not going to give you all of the problems and not present a solution. Once again, there's a play taking place right now in Atlanta, of all places, right, where they legalize the marijuana. Marijuana has been legalized in the A, right? The same, what a dichotomy. In Atlanta, medical is legalized, while right there in Texas, they literally turned that shit into one of the biggest crimes that you could basically be a part of and whatnot. To whereas you could get life, like Martin and Eddie Murphy, if you have, what is it? I don't know what it is. But I pray that nobody gets caught up in their plans and whatnot, and you're protected by the ancestors, and you don't get involved with none of the fuckery. But I felt that it would be better for me to inform you than to have you in the blind. You know what I'm saying? And then you out there in Texas rolling up thinking that you in Atlanta and whatnot, thinking you in the land of the free, and then people pull up on a horse and book you. I don't want that for you, right? So what's going on in Atlanta is that we have access to a dispensary, but not just a dispensary, a melanated owned dispensary, not just a melanated owned dispensary, what we call black owned dispensary. No. We have access to medical licenses. So if this is something that you want to be a part of, if you want to get a medical license, once again, there's a lot of I have a lot of discrepancies when it comes to the marijuana that the government has now. I feel that it's GMO. I don't necessarily trust it, right? I don't trust it. I would rather grow my own. Okay. I would rather grow my own. However, I would definitely, especially with this new law, because it's going to come to Georgia. You got to understand what you're looking at. This is a play with the growers, remember they tried to take the white boys, the Texans, right? The Cowboys and them, they tried to corner the market. And then what happened? The Indians took that shit with the stores and with the THCA. The THCC, I think, right? What was that shit that we were selling? And the CBD and all of that. So the Indians came in and cornered that market, right? So the good old boys, that good old boy network that's used to monopolizing everything, right? they got pushed out of the market, and then they started popping them spray packs, and then of course the boys came outside, the corner boys and whatnot. So they are penalizing the market right now, and they're criminalizing it, and they're gonna basically fill up those jails and whatnot. They're gonna fill up those private jails and whatnot, and they're going to implement this type of arcane law across the board. So right now, while the window is open to get legalized or to have some type of legal protection, I would definitely say I would go and do that versus just well wishing and saying, well, shit, they not going to catch me. I'm fast. I'm going to hit the gas. I'm going to do the dash. Yeah. So check this out real quick. Check this out.
It was a smooth little day. Certified a few patients for their cards, and I got some of that true flour. Take a look at that. Zoom in, bro.
So the good brother H Factor and Blue Pill, they have tapped in with True Bliss, which is a dispensary in Atlanta. They just opened up a Buckhead location yesterday, and they have one in Midtown. And what we have the ability to do is we have the ability to help anybody in Georgia, especially veterans, get their medical marijuana license. All right. I'm going to leave my email right here. If that sounds like you got to be a resident. You got to have ID that says you're a Georgia resident, not Atlanta, Georgia. You could be from Rome, Georgia. You could be from any of the Georgia you could be from goddamn Macon. You could be from anywhere in Georgia. We got you. We got you. And when we get the plug for other states, then we got you as well. But right now, if you live in the state of Georgia, we're going to be able to protect you. F all that you seen what they doing with our people, putting our people been getting ran through the mud for decades dealing with this flour and whatnot. They done ran our people up they done destroyed so many lives off of this flour and whatnot. I'm not here to stop people from consuming or the consumption and whatnot. I'm not that strong. You feel me? I'm not that strong. I would tell anybody, be very cautious of anything that you're smoking right now, because they spraying that shit. They got GMO and everything. It's not what it used to be. This is not Papa's Sensimilia. That's just a disclaimer. This is not Mama's quote unquote Acapulco Gold and whatnot. That's not what we dealing with these days. This is some Frankenstein shit. But some people still partake and whatnot. So if you're going to partake, you want to partake and do that shit legally. That you're going to, I'm telling you, it hit different. It hit different. You feel me? It hit different. Be careful with that medical marijuana. I definitely, I co-sign that. However, with True Bliss Dispensary, where they're sourcing it from, the brothers is thorough and whatnot. They not bringing no trash and no GMO to your lungs. That's not what they're about. I would tell you across the border, though, when it comes to any type of medical marijuana, be highly skeptical of that shit. Anything that the government is pushing, be highly skeptical of it, right? However, when you have the opportunity to be legalized, where you can have a card, when you could legally carry that shit, then I would suggest that you do that. And the craziest shit happened when I was going to New York a few weeks ago. I was in the airport, Atlanta. I'm on the check line. I'm on the what's that shit where they checking you? TSA. Why they pulled out a turkey bag out of a nigga bag? He had like a duffel bag. They pulled a turkey bag out. You know what a turkey bag is? A turkey bag is it's like a pound. It's a bag. It's a wrapper. It's wrapper weed, but it's you could put a whole turkey in it. Thanksgiving, you could put a whole turkey in his bag. The nigga had a turkey bag of weed. They let him go and gave him the turkey bag in the airport, family. Do you understand what's happening? They gave the man a turkey bag. They pulled it out of his bag and gave it right back to him. Why? Because TSA just put a law out that they're not stopping nobody in the airport with marijuana. I'm like, wait a minute. So they're doing that in TSA, but Texas is locking you up for 1 gram. Make it make sense. Make it make sense, fam. What's going on right now? I don't know. This is not my field and whatnot. I'm not in this field. I'm just letting you know that there's opportunities for you to legalize and protect yourself in this field. And if you're going to be in this field, if you're going to be smoking, if you're going to partake in the marijuana, check this out.
Flavorings, extremely bad for the lungs, gang. You're murking yourself. And it's not like a cigarette where you're just smacking that bitch. Like you know me, like that's super deep, right? So if you've been smoking your whole life and it's a heavy smoker, first off, I'm not gonna tell you not to smoke, even though you probably shouldn't. Probably switch to them papers, gang, or glass. And then goddamn mullein leaf teas, spearmint leaf teas, thyme leaf teas, smacking. Reishi mushrooms, smacking. Quercetin, you can get that from like apples, red onions, overly smacking. NAC is gonna reduce the mucus in your lungs. If you have like a cough, super bad cough, NAC. NRF2 pathways need to be opened up. What's gonna open up your NRF2 pathways the best, guys? Sulforaphane. Where does sulforaphane come from? Broccoli sprouts. If you was a heavy smoker and you don't plan on stopping smoking, you better eat as many broccoli sprouts as blunts that you smoke. Just every single day, folks. Straggler's root is finna smack too, folks. You can get that in like a damn capsule or whatever. And then I would be steam showering every day. Steam sauna every day, folks. Dry saunas is cool, but I would get steam sauna and go stupid
Steam
on that.
sauna.
Especially if you don't plan on stopping, but I would not be smoking no formaldehyde, glue, motherfucking overly, like they made them bitches for like niggas, gang. You know what I mean? Like whenever they make something specifically for niggas, you gotta know that shit probably a little food, gang. Like Kool-Aid and motherfucking Kool-Aid damn pineapples and shit, and motherfucking blunts and goddamn Hennessy and like anything that's for only niggas, gang, they're probably trying to make that shit overly food.
Overly food. Okay? Son is thorough right here. Son is thorough. I started following him. I don't got his name in front of me, but I will put it up. Once again, this is for educational use only. I am highlighting these creators and showcasing their work. I'm not taking from them. I'm not, I'm not plagiarizing them and nothing. That's my disclaimer. I just have to put that out there and whatnot. I'm just using this platform. This is a news channel. And what we do is we highlight the news that is out there. Okay? Yeah. Let's switch gears a little bit and let's go a little darker. You know what I'm saying? Hey, let's go a little darker, because once again, talking about the nature of these mayonnaise people. And yeah, let's get some insight from somebody from the mayonnaise side who's telling you some things that you may need to hear coming out of their mouth and not mine.
People that ate black people. That before I unpack this shit, let's establish some truth before I get into it. You, me, every single white person has an epigenetic predisposition for violence based on our ancestral past, right? Like, we have to start here. We have to accept that. You can't have ancestors as white people that ate black people, that fed black children to alligators, that participated in public executions of black men, women, and children. You can't be a white person and have white ancestors that brought their children after church to watch black people be publicly executed and think that shit doesn't affect your bloodline, right? So like there's a severe amount of violence from our white ancestors that epigenetically and foundationally changed our DNA throughout the course of history. And so I see a lot of people struggle with, how are we here right now? How can things be this bad? Why don't more people care? Well, when you have an epigenetic predisposition for violence and you get somebody like Donald Trump and the Trump administration to help reinforce the violence that is flowing through your DNA, you end up standing 10 toes down in your violent white identity, right? And so I think a lot of white people that are And this affects all of us. I'll get into the left side of the political spectrum in a minute. But I think there's a lot of white people that are blown away by their MAGA parents, friends, family, coworkers, or whatever. Because you're like, you should care. You should give a fuck. You should care about ICE. You should care about kids getting kidnapped from their parents. You should care about the Klan 2.0, ICE. You should care that the Trump administration wants a whites-only country. Like, the list goes on. You should care. You should care that the United States is bombing residential areas in Iran, right? The list is long, long, long. We have concentration camps. You should care. But that is trying to talk to somebody with the expectation that they have empathy or that they operate from a worldview of empathy. MAGA doesn't give a fuck. Their only operating system is violence. So anything that challenges their worldview, their perception, is automatically deemed a threat in their mind. Right? Because if I operate out of violence and I see every other community that isn't white or straight as a threat to my way of life, then I'm never going to operate in empathy. I'm only going to look at those communities as if they are dangerous to me. So that's how.
And who does the job of, propagating this mentality, this egregore, right? Fox News. And then Breitbart, right? But Fox News is the foundation of it. But then there's 4chan, and then there's 8chan. You know what I'm talking about? And then there's Reddit and whatnot. Who is the purveyor of this egregore? It is a conglomerate. It's a network. You feel me? Let's not talk about Rush Limbaugh with the radio, right? His reach was crazy and whatnot. You feel me? And this is a daily thing with them. And then they got Trump. You know what I mean? All of this other shit is pre-Trump. Then they got Trump, who's literally every day he has an entire cabinet. You feel me? An entire cabinet that is dedicated to pushing this narrative and whatnot, seeding these quote unquote nuggets of hate and whatnot. This is what they do on a consecutive basis. And they're utilizing the news. They're utilizing stories. They're utilizing these secret murders that they're carrying out and whatnot to feed this entity, to feed this egregore and whatnot. That's what they're doing. They're feeding their quote unquote, they're feeding their deities from the afterlife. They're the hermaphrodites. That's what they're doing. That is exactly what they're doing. So be very clear about what the hell it is that you're seeing. I'm not even going to say it.
MAGA works, right? Just straight up violence. Again, the epigenetic predisposition for white ancestral violence is off the charts. And this is interesting, right? Because if you see white people that are MAGA, they're like, hey, I fucked up. I made a mistake. Yeah, Trump is wrong. Administration is wrong, whatever. There's still a fucking bigot. You see it across the internet. You can see it in real life. If you talk to somebody that walks away from MAGA, they still have the same bigoted, violent views. And they can only hold it for like 2 seconds before they just throw that shit out there again for everybody to see. And
all of that, we don't like Trump. He let us down. We're throwing Trump away. That's some hogwash. You understand? That's some hogwash. That's leading to the spiritual psychosis. You understand? That's hogwash. Stop falling for it. Turn their TVs off. Don't listen to them. Stop paying attention. You see, I don't even play the MAGA people on this channel no more. You know what I'm saying? I don't even play none of that shit. They had their little run and whatnot. We was looking at their little videos and laughing at them, but they're all chopped cheese. They're wash. They even if they wanted to, like Son is saying, my nigga, it's epigenetics, my nigga. Yes, Dr. Francis Cress Wilson. Why What form of currency is she about to show up on for our people? Why we don't put her on our $20 bill? Niggas is out here making cryptocurrency out of any name. Butt cheeks. I got the butt cheeks coin. You know what I'm talking about? I got the butt cheeks coin. I got the fart coin. Like, why is nobody creating currency and livicating it to these great ancestors? Niggas is just sitting around waiting for Harriet Tubman to be on a motherfucking dub. And I'm like, come on, fam. Once again, you playing a waiting game. You're on offense. You're on defense. You're not on offense. You're not making moves, my nigga. Moves are being made for you. You're not stepping. You're walking. You know what I'm talking about? You being dog walked by these people. They literally are controlling you, spoon feeding you, throwing crumbs at you and whatnot, controlling you. Let us continue. Yeah, where's the NOI coin? Where's the FOI coin? Where's the 5% or $5? Where's all of that shit at? You know what I'm talking about?
And the more the pressure grows inside the United States, the more they double, triple, quadruple down on the shit. It doesn't matter. It's illogical. It's not intellectual. It's not moral and ethical. Like, you cannot have a conversation with MAGA that involves things that we would usually interact with, like in humanity, about, you know, morals, ethics, again, logic, intellect, because that is not where they operate from as a human being. Because if they had to accept openly or internally that, you know what, these concentration camps really probably are not that good, that will blow the fucking doors off their identity. They will no longer be able to function in society. Their mental health will go to fucking trash. If you start unraveling the sweater, so to speak, if there's one sliver of humanity that creeps in and says, hey, the shit that's happening right now is fucked up, then they have to accept that for the past 10 goddamn fucking years that they supported this shit, and the amount of violence they would be left to hold in their mind if they said, you know what, yeah, I fucked up. Why did I ever support Trump? I was engaging in white supremacy and racism. Then you have to take accountability, which white people don't do in general, hence why we're here. They would have to take accountability for the amount of fucking blood that they have on their hands, and they will never fucking do that. Which is just like our white ancestors. Which is just like your grandma or your grandpa that participated in segregation. And on the flip side, you have white people on the left that are frozen, that don't know what to do, that are watching all this shit, say, this is really fucking bad, but that's about all we got. That also plays into our epigenetic predisposition for violence. Because if you look at segregation, Jim Crow, you keep going in the past. You don't have to, because it's all right here, right now. But if you look at our white ancestors, of course, there were going to be white people that were like, hey, I didn't participate in publicly executing black men, women, and children, so I'm a good guy. Or I didn't participate in chattel slavery. I didn't participate in indigenous genocide. I said, no. So that means I'm a good person. No, because we stood there. Our white ancestors stood there and watched all of this shit happen. Turned a blind eye. Never stepped in to fucking stop this from happening. Went along their lives engaging in the privilege that they got from the violence that played out that they believed they weren't participating in, and carried on with that 400-year head start. Which again is just also engaging in violence. So you have the entire political spectrum of white people with an epigenetic predisposition for violence that are watching violence play out on a mass scale, white violence playing out on a mass scale, and you have MAGA who does not operate within empathy, enjoying it, having like a sexual connection to the violence that sounds crazy, but that's a whole other discussion. But having this lust, this bloodlust, watching all this violence play out, and then you have the left who's like, I'm just sitting here watching it. I don't want to get too involved. I don't want to lose too much, which again is our ancestral violence as well. So all in all, we're here because of white people as a collective. And again, MAGA is rooted in the epigenetic predisposition for violence, that this is the white violence we are seeing is giving them fucking life every single day. And the minute you try to touch that life source,
I'm telling you, they're feeding their egregor. Everybody that washes up, everybody that gets found hung, all of that is feeding their quote unquote, their demons, their parasites. It's feeding them.
they're going to tap into that homicidal, fucking violent, torturous, ancestral DNA and become feral and go after fucking everybody. And tell you they're a Christian and a good person.
In Mississippi, I feel like a fucking broken... Another black person found hanged in Mississippi. I feel like a fucking broken record. This time, Mississippi police are actually investigating the death for possible foul play, which is so shocking.
These videos are triggering people, you know, who don't want to look at this mirror, this black mirror. You know, these videos are triggering people who may have close proximity to, you know, the same people that are being exposed in these videos. I mean, once again, this is a humongous world, 8 billion people on the planet. We could focus on a lot of things, but you know what the fuck Third Eye Thursdays is about. You know what we talk about. You know what we deal with. You know whose motherfucking trail we've been on for a very long time, right? So, you know, this is not the only thing going on in the world, but this is definitely some of the things that are happening, and there's patterns taking place that definitely need to be highlighted.
Could it possibly be from public pressure given all of the other black people that were lynched there? They ruled as a suicide. The woman has not yet been publicly identified, but you want to know who's conducting her autopsy? Dr. Stacy Turner, the same woman who conducted the suspicious autopsies of Nolan Wells, Trey Reed, Damian Cameron, and Shannon Wilson. Coincidentally, they were all accidental, and it's already been tangibly proven that she has unethical bias when she ruled Damian Cameron's death undetermined, while other medical examiners, experts in their field, ruled his death a homicide. The perpetrators being none other than Mississippi law enforcement themselves, who beat the fuck out of that man to death. We are publicly demanding these autopsy results from this currently unidentified woman. We want to see every single fucking detail because we want to know exactly how Dr. Stacy Turner came to these conclusions. Or let me guess, it gets ruled accidental, a suicide. Black people do not publicly hang themselves, especially in the racist state of Mississippi. Please understand that. And I'm begging you to sign this petition to please get Dr. Stacy Turner's medical license revoked for unethical bias. Share this woman's story and keep demanding answers from the Jackson Police Department who is handling her case.
Here she go. There she go. That's her right there. Okay? That's the sister right there. Right? There she go. Does she look like somebody who would hang themselves? Even though I don't know if there's a look to it, but that's her right there, ladies and gentlemen. Okay?
Fresh off that Bonnie conversation.
The same day, they was on my timeline talking about the Jackson boat incident. We got him. That was 3 years ago. We got him. Yeah, that should be a holiday. Well, they out there spinning the block. They spinning the block. You understand? They like, fuck that. We spinning the block. The same way that they spent the block for Austin Metcalf on Nolan Wells. They're spinning the fucking blocks.
Look, this happened August 3rd, reported August 4th. I've only seen 4 articles because I've been trying to get more information about this young lady in Jackson, Mississippi, who was found from a tree behind a vacant home. And we know they'll rule it a suicide just like they did Trey Reed. That's what these cousin lovers do. Because they're subhuman. They're animals. Literally. They know that they are a scourge on this earth, a cancer, parasitic. And that's why they spend all their time, hundreds of years, generations, trying to convince everyone that who they are is who we are. They're thieves. You stole this entire land while committing a genocide of the people who were already here. And you know that if you weren't here, this world would be a better place. Earth would breathe. Earth would love. Earth would heal if you weren't here and you know that and you hate that. You see our light and you want to stamp it out. You have spent generations trying to convince everyone else that who you are is who we are, and you hate it. There aren't enough black people you could lynch, kill, maim, or murder that would make people believe that you are who you proclaim to be. Because do you think that we did this to ourselves? Black people don't hang themselves. Everybody knows that. But because you are incompetent, this is the only way that you all know how to carry out these animalistic acts where you know you won't get a tinge of retribution for what you do. Also because you're wholly incompetent. You're stupid. You all are a stupid lot. But again, that's what you tell everybody that we are. We're dumb. Our brains can't handle things. And you've managed to convince a lot of people of that. But still, deep down inside, you know that you aren't worth living. No matter how many black people you kill, you still will know that your life means nothing to anyone. That's why you make us the most important focal point of your life. Without us, you wouldn't know how or who to be. You're pathetic. You're impotent and you're feckless. It's so sad that instead of learning and growing, you just refuse. Imagine a mammal that refused to evolve. How disgusting. You're one of God's worst creatures.
And there's a video going around the internet, it's pretty disgusting, of these 3 white girls who lured their black friend over to their house and start beating her up. They're jumping on her with their knees. They are hitting her consistently. She's screaming. When she screams, they tell her to shut the F up.
Now, once again, I'm going to put this back up. I don't want to induce no type of fear in nobody. You know, I hope everybody is well grounded and on the show tonight. Right? Oh, somebody said, "Where's David Banner?" Oh, here go David Banner. There go Mr. Mississippi right there. There you go. But this is my thing. When it comes to these artists and whatnot, right? You can't be conveniently woke. If you're going to be woke, you got to be woke all of the time, bro. You know? And I'm not saying that he can't have fun at the UGK concert, but while you got all of that attention from skipping on stage, right? From doing your thing, you went viral and whatnot. Mr. Mississippi with the tattoo on your back, you literally could have used that. You could have used that to basically bring awareness to what is going on in your city. Yeah, I'm gonna let him skip in peace. I'm not. Look, that's why I had to clear it up. I'm not getting at him for skipping and whatnot. David Banner is having black boy joy. He's living his best life. But remember, the revolution is a strategy. You feel me? It's a strategy. You do shit like that to get attention, right? And you use that attention to raise awareness. Yeah, skip to my Lou. I'm gonna let you skip in peace and whatnot. Ooh, look at him throwing that shit. But what I'm saying is, you can't, when you sign up When you sign up for this shit, you gotta use, there's strategies that you gotta utilize. Like a Pimp is a lead magnet. The song Like a Pimp is a lead magnet. I'm not mad at Like a Pimp. That's a lead magnet. That draws all of the 85ers into your web, and then you got to hit them upside the head. If you woke, you should be waking niggas up. That's all I'm saying. My nigga, if you woke, get to waking up. That's it. You let that hype die down. David Banner, there was a window open for you to talk your shit. I would have kept the wig on, and I would have cooked them white boys in Mississippi that was behind Nolan Wells.
Her mouth. It's just a very disturbing video, but I think it gives you a little look inside what can happen sometimes. Now, I'm not saying that, oh yeah, any black person with all white people is not safe, but I think this is a good illustration of how things can go wrong very quickly and how you can be the one to get ganged up on. And it's just the way they're maniacally laughing, like enjoying this. And then, you know, when they're caught, they're like, I swear, we were just joking. We're not racist. I love everybody. We love her. We were just joking. Yeah, right. Arrest these girls and make sure they pay for what they did, because I don't see how this girl didn't end up getting injured. It's really disgusting. Trigger warning on the video. Go check it out. And we need justice for this girl. I don't have any information, but I'm going to find out. And I'm hoping these girls have been arrested. Secrets.
Black female was found hanging from a tree in the backyard of a home in
I don't give a fuck what her name is. Actually, I do, but I know you're not going to give a fuck. And do me a favor, while you're currently hiding the autopsy of Nolan Wells, it would not be a good fucking case for you to hide this autopsy of this black woman being found hanged in a tree in the backyard. So I'm gonna step on your neck, Mississippi. Y'all can come find me. What Malcolm X say? You can't find the KKK only in the South. You can find them everywhere you need to look for them. Because while I know it's taken multiple weeks for the same autopsy examiner that they just sent this body to today to give us the information on autopsy of Nolan Wells. And now they're keeping it a secret, un secreto. So I'm gonna need everybody to call Mississippi. Yeah, I'm gonna need everybody to ask Jackson, what's good, Jackson? I just want to know the name of the deceased. I just want to know if the autopsy is going to be released. Is it going to be public? Because you looking at it as a death investigation instead of a suicide. That means you know that we're picking up. You can't hide all these suicides anymore, can you? The Civil War is brewing. And it won't be us who starts it. Ah, damn.
It was the worst day in streaming history, and something needs to be changed.
Let's talk more about the rituals. Now, keep in mind, we are in a very, very, very interesting time, ladies and gentlemen. And we spoke on this briefly, okay? We didn't really go to unpack it too tough, but we did highlight it, right? And we said that Saturn is in retrograde, something that we really need to look out for. Saturn is in retrograde. So you're going to see things happen that you've probably not seen before. This started on the 26th of July, and it will last all the way into December the 10th, 2026. Saturn, the father, right? Chronos, time, discipline, law and order, karma. You know what I'm saying? Responsibility, discipline, time, authority, boundaries, mastery through experience. All of that is in retro. Okay? So Saturn in retro is literally, right? Time for introspection, time for externalizing things. It's going to be a time for our people to literally sit back and take an audit of what's going on all around them, things that they might not been picking up on because maybe maybe their heads were in the clouds. Maybe Mercury retrograde had our people somewhat in a fog and whatnot. This Saturn in retro though is going to bring a lot. So this is a retro in Aries. Pardon me. This is Saturn retrograding in Aries. Okay, so you got Saturn's discipline and you got Aries fire. Okay, so what you're gonna see in this time, right? Because that's literally all we're gonna be. That's literally what we're covering with these news reports. The shit that Paris Hilton went through, that's Saturn in retrograde. All of the things that you're seeing right now, Saturn in retrograde. Let's talk about it. So check it out. During this period, there's going to be a reconsideration of leadership style, of identity, of personal independence. That's quote unquote special 38 special versus Jadakiss, and then flipping it, saying that this is independence versus industry. That's Saturn in retrograde. Huh? Let's continue. The questions that will come up as a result of this Saturn in retrograde, the questions that will appear, okay? Are you acting from conviction or ego? These are some of the questions that you're going to be asking yourself. Are you acting from conviction or from ego? Which battles are actually worth fighting, right? Which battles are actually worth fighting? You're going to have to answer that question. Which ideas deserve long-term commitment? I'm going through that right now. Which ideas deserve long-term commitment? When that shit went retro, it smacked me right upside the head. Saturn is the father. Okay? Pay attention to your father. All right. Today is the death anniversary of Dr. Sebi. 10 years ago, he made transition. Okay. Dr. Sebi, 10 years ago on this day, we got the phone call, right? This is another question. Where do you need greater discipline instead of more speed? Right? Remember, we're in the fire horse year. You know what I'm talking about? We're in the fire horse year, right? And there's a lot of major transits going on as well. Yes, rise in power to the good doctor. Yes, 10 years ago to this day, right? It feels like yesterday. And then I lost another elder a few days ago, right? Who was literally almost the equivalent of a Dr. Sebi to our family and whatnot. And, you know, mama's grieving right now. Mama's going through it right now. You know what I mean? All of her heroes, all of her love interests, you feel me? They are going to the quote unquote upper room, right? Preparing. They're going to the upper room. So a lot of the elders are beginning to, leave us during these days and these times. I'm seeing a lot of that taking place on the timeline. But not just that, the youth are also the youth, the middle age. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on right now. So some of the things that we'll be seeing and we'll be witnessing and we'll be paying attention to: long-term career reviews, right? The long-term career reviews, leadership tests, leadership tests, strategic restructuring, increased importance of patience over quick results, right? But let's just talk about what exactly is Saturn in the scriptures? What is actually Saturn in metaphysical studies and whatnot? When we go in these books that have been recommended to us by the master teachers, and we're reading about these planets, or we're reading about these deities and whatnot, we have to have a concordance, right? So we could actually see when they speak about Saturn, who else are they speaking of? So the Lord of Karma is Saturn. The great teacher is Saturn. The keeper of time is Saturn. Has anybody felt a difference in the time in the past few weeks? The guardian of the threshold is Saturn, and it's in retro in Aries. Okay. So Saturn in retrograde symbolizing an opportunity to face unresolved lessons. This is that time, y'all, to face unresolved lessons. If you've done somebody wrong, if you fucked some people over, if you stabbed mine in the back, if your karma has you up at night and you thinking about people saying, damn, I know I did that person wrong, you might want to resolve that right now. You understand? Because what Saturn also does is Saturn is a big stepper and whatnot, right? Saturn is a big stepper. You feel me? Saturn will sit you down. You're going to have to clean your backyard up right now. You feel me? You're going to have to do that. You want to strengthen your character through self-discipline. If you ever wanted to practice no fapping, if you ever wanted to practice semen retention, if you ever wanted to practice putting the whole stro on hold, now is the time. Now is the time. Okay? Strengthening your character through self-discipline. And then the opposite. You out here mad sloppy during this retrograde. You out here just doing whatever. You're undisciplined. You're not showing no signs of mastery. Wash. Yeah, wash. More things may happen to you faster than it would before. You know what I'm saying? Shit might catch up to you quicker than it did before. You might want to take this time and take a time out. Up until December, you might want to get in the gym. You might want to put the corn down. You might want to put the corn syrup down. You want to integrate wisdom gained through experience, right? That's what this Saturn retrograde is going to help you do. Don't look at it as a negative. It's not a negative. I don't want to scare you. It's not a negative, but a lot of shit is going on because we got to straighten up, especially in front of our Father. That's what Saturn is. The great Father. You know? The great Father. Yeah, this time for big shadow work. Big dark night of the soul. If you ever wanted to get in, this is the time to get it in, because that spiritual ass whooping, because they were saying, oh, Perez Hilton is going through a spiritual attack. Hello. Saturn in retrograde. Perez Hilton got mad karma though. Perez Hilton did not apologize to the people that she shitted on, right? Neither did Sydney Starr. Remember what she did to Chingy? Huh? Remember what she did to Chingy? A lot of people are going to feel it. A lot of people are going to feel it. Huh? Don't follow the wrong crowd. Don't be following goddamn Krishan Rock and the baddies and whatnot, and let them lead you astray during this window that we have. Don't let Carisha get you fucked up in these streets. You know what I'm talking about? Don't do it. Practice discipline, discernment, and restraint. I'm not out here trying to be nobody's dad. I'm not out here trying to be nobody's quote unquote. I'm not your guru. I'm just giving you some advice. I'm just speaking from the heart right now. I'm going to have to work on myself. I might even disappear for a minute because I got so much work to do, fam. You feel me, Crody? Like I got work to do. And I'm not, and during this window of this retro, because I'm feeling this retrograde, I felt that shit creeping, and I was like, God damn it, I could see the shadow and whatnot on some, Saturn is coming in like Dr. Doom. Yeah. I think they might have dropped the trailer on the day that it came in. I got to do my cross references. But yeah, it's a lot of shit going on. And it's being shown through the lens of the streamer world, right? It's being highlighted through the streamer shit. So check it out.
Streaming history, and something needs to be changed. I mean, you can't really prevent situations like the Cesar Gastelum stuff, but you could definitely prevent situations like the Perez Hilton situation, because that one went on live for way too long. You're talking about 34 straight minutes, and the whole world saw Perez Hilton. And chat, I'm not going to show you guys the video, but something has to be done. Bro, you guys know that Perez Hilton had thousands of viewers, and millions of people have already watched that video. I even told my little brother not to watch that video, but he said that he somewhat saw something on the TikTok live already. And like I said, man, you cannot prevent situations like the Cesar Gastelum stuff. You can only hope that it doesn't happen, because at the end of the day, bro, this was really instantaneous stuff. The dude was literally chilling right there when these two dudes in a motorcycle pulled up and then did what they did. The future of the streaming world will most likely change after all of this. I personally think that as for TikTok will for sure change their TikTok live stuff, and they'll for sure do more things and put more bots or whatever they have to do to make sure that stuff like the Perez Hilton situation doesn't happen again. As for the kick stuff with the Cesar Gastelum stuff, there's not really much that they could do to prevent this stuff. Chat, I'm your boy 44 Vato.
Finally ate Perez Hilton, bro. Like, the internet spent 20 years rewarding Perez Hilton for exposing everyone else's pain. Last night, it watched him expose his own. Look, yo, for years, he built a career turning celebrity breakdowns into entertainment. Then his own crisis unfolded live. Not his gossip, not his content. As a human being in obvious distress. That should make every one of us pause. Look, some people are already saying this was a satanic ritual. Others say it was just mental illness. I think both sides are misreading the deeper pattern. The identity that made him famous may have become the identity he could no longer survive inside. Like, earlier this year, he spoke publicly about nearly dying from an infection, encountering God, and rethinking the life that he built. Now another crisis happens. Whether you see that through psychology, faith, or something else, one question remains. What happens when the persona finally collapses? Like, this isn't just Perez Hilton's story, okay? Every person builds a version of themselves the world rewards. The danger begins when you forget that version isn't you. Comment scroll below, because your scroll is not about creating a better mask. It's about remembering who you were before the performance started.
You got it? You feel what I'm putting down here? There's literally no not care. You got it? You feel what I'm putting down here? There's literally nothing this man could do that would make me care or feel bad for him. I'm from the 2000s, so yeah, no forgiveness, don't care. Literally don't care. He could be in full-on tears, blasting apologies on a loud...
That right there is Saturn and retro right here. That is it. I don't care. I don't fucking care. Nigga, cry me a river. How about that?
Speaker and drive his car off the side of a cliff, and I wouldn't care. I feel horrifically bad for his children. Horrifically bad. Those poor children never deserved a father like that. That man never should have been a father. And it's crazy that he was allowed to become a father after his insane behavior. If the United States doesn't care about kids, Look at the fact that he has kids. So yeah, I genuinely hope that his children are safe and that they are being loved on and spoiled, and that whoever takes care of them for the rest of their lives gives them beautiful lives, because their father was never going to be a man capable of that. I'm sorry, he's not a man, he's a bug. So yeah, sending all my good thoughts to his children.
The fucking world is going on? What in the fucking evil is going on, you guys?
Please, and if don't be purveyors, let's use our imagination. You understand? I don't want y'all go searching for that video and whatnot, because keep in mind, we still in a retrograde, and it's very important what you eat and what you don't eat, right? I'm just showing you karma in real time on the biggest fucking stage imaginable, right? To one of their biggest puppets and whatnot. And we're just looking at the great fall. We're looking at a weirdo fallout. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who was demonic in nature. You understand? Gossip is called isfit. Fuck Wendy Williams. Gossip is called isfit. And we've rewarded isfit. Isfit is a part of shaitan and whatnot. That's some demonic shit. Gossip, nigga? You gossiping? You gossip? That's what you built your shit off? Gossip? Yeah, you're a demon. You're a diva and a demon.
Do not go watch Paris Hilton's fucking video on Twitter, you guys. Do not fucking go watch. This is gonna be the most traumatized video of the 2026, you guys. Mental health is very fucking important, you guys. Very fucking important. If you're not feeling so good, go fucking look for help. Go look for help. This is fucking serious. I don't know what the hell's going on. Remember, this guy got sick not so long ago, and I'm taking medications and all this shit. It probably got to him or whatever, but damn, that fucking video, you guys, is fucking crazy. Do not go fucking watch it, okay? Do not fucking watch it.
Did you have a breakdown because of you?
I probably contributed to it, definitely. I take full accountability for my role. I definitely didn't make things easier for her.
Do you not think about people's mental health when you're doing what you're doing?
I do now because I've changed, but back when I was younger and doing things differently, I didn't.
I now appreciate that honesty, actually.
So, dude has been the person, he's pushed people off of bridges. Let's just say that. Way more crueler than a Wendy Williams could ever have been. You know, he's a gossip girl. So you know how they get. They're very stank. They're very nasty. They're very heartless and whatnot. You know, very, very demonic and whatnot. Okay. So what is Saturn in retro? Saturn in retro is karma. You got to pay the piper. You got to pay the piper. You feel me? Maybe if he would apologize to the people whose lives he ruined, it might have went differently. But he was literally, he was looking like Carrie. Remember the movie Carrie? And Ariana Grande just had a video a few days before where she was covered in blood and whatnot. He was self-mutilating himself on live to the point where he was looking like Carrie afterwards. Right? All red, like Playboy Car. He was looking like Earl Simmons on that cover of his album. That's what was going on. You don't need to see that, though.
Ledger died in 2008. Perez Hilton sold t-shirts that said, "Why couldn't it be Britney?" He called her a trailer trash ghetto princess and also called her an unfit mother when she was going through a mental health crisis. He also posted upskirt photos of Miley Cyrus when she was 17 years old. He was not a good person. He didn't give a fuck about anyone else's mental health.
So that karma is still coming home. So you could have did some shit when you was young. It don't really matter. Huh. You know what I'm talking about? It don't really matter. You got to clean that up. You got to clean that up. Shit will come back and haunt your ass. You feel me? Like it ain't just him though. It ain't just him though. It is not just him though. He's just the latest of many bodies and whatnot that we see. Literally, I see dead people.
No one thinks that it's weird.
that all the richest people in the world are starving during wars, droughts, and famines. In the Congo, Syria, Sudan, and Gaza is just kind of eerie. She covered herself in blood for fun. Did she do it in solidarity for the starving girls that we blew up? Then it's clear they're blurring the lines and they're starved for attention. If we all noticed this happen when we looked away at Jeffrey Epstein, it's not that weird. If you treat little girls like fucking objects, they turn into Selenas, Britneys, or Ariana. Yeah, our biggest fear is another Karen, Whitney, Brittany, or Amy. Even all our stars die in chains, dancing for the people that make them famous. Is that weird? Or was she a child star and are they all abused? Is that what happens when you're groomed by 100 guys in one boardroom? Basically, it's getting way weirder. Her fans are saying that she's happy and healthy. They don't know drug addiction effects. 1 out of 2 people with anorexia every year. She changes the way she talks and her complexion. That's how labels end their career. They force them off stages into funeral processions. But isn't it weird that you can never see forced starvation? You're watching a celebrity starve while they're out there digging graves.
There's a lot of rituals happening in real time all around us. Like, they are all crashing out, ladies and gentlemen. When I say mayonnaise meltdown, you don't have to be white. You could be half white, or you could just be in white places and whatnot. You can identify with whiteness, but there's definitely a mayonnaise meltdown going on. Check them out.
What type of humiliation ritual did they make Vic Mensa do? This motherfucker got a Confederate flag dress on, a wig, lipstick, makeup. Oh my God, bro. What did they got you on? The industry made you do this to make it? It ain't that deep, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Slavery ended 160 years ago. You are free, bro. You don't have to serve your masters anymore. This is fucking insane. And this is supposed to be a pro-black activist wearing a racist dress? Like, is he transitioning or something? I'm confused, bro. Like, I thought you're supposed to be eating the orange, like, preaching that real shit, pushing masculinity and all that. What is this, bro? Men gotta step up, man. Like, why are men dressing like women and pushing this nasty agenda? This is horrible. Damn, Vic Mensa, holy shit.
I just wrote a rhyme where I said I'm the Vic Mensa of Mensa. You know, because Mensa is the program that they put children in that are super duper smart. I might have to change my fucking bar, my nigga. Because goddamn it, what the hell? Did y'all see that video? Like, what's going on with these Hollywood cats, B? My dude, like, what? Did y'all see that shit? They got my dude, man. They got my nigga Vic, man. Oh, man. What the fuck? What the hell? Things that'll make you say, my guy, are you cool? Check it out. So as we continue going further down this rabbit hole, let's talk about the dude Joe who came up unalived and whatnot. And his shit, he was about to put ancient Bibles on his website. He was literally about to upload Bibles that was going to break the internet, but his following was too big, and now the Bibles are gone and he's gone.
Today, I shared a message honoring Joe Fells, asking us to wait for clarity and respect his family during a time of chaos. My goal was simple, to refrain from spreading.
How many of y'all follow Joe Felt? I looked at one video of Joe Felt. Like, Instagram is bugging. The algorithm, this new algorithm on Instagram is crazy. Because literally, if you click on one video about one person, that shit will open up a floodgate. That shit will open up a floodgate of the same topic. Like, if there's like 1,000 videos on Instagram about said topic and you just watch one video, all of them other videos is pulling up on you like, yo, you said our name, like you got any change? It's shit feel like panhandling. I watched one video of Joe. Now my whole timeline is this white boy you know, doing white boy shit, but he was on one though. He was definitely, he was down with, he was cool with Nature Jab. Who is he? He's a blogger. He was living out of his van, and he's one of those Europeans that are searching for the truths and whatnot. He's literally discovering things that some of us have discovered 10, 20 years ago. Those of us that are on, all of us that are on the path. He's one of those white boys who went viral for discovering the things that have been discovered. But in their world, this shit is like a revelation. Like this is like a renaissance for them. Yeah, but yeah, yeah.
Unverified rumors, but given what has surfaced since his passing, I realize now that waiting a little longer might have given us a clearer picture of what we're actually dealing with. I'm addressing this directly because I know many in this community are now raising valid questions, not just about what happened to Joe, but about my initial video. But let me be unequivocally clear, I'm not here telling you not to question everything, because that would go against everything I stand for, nor am I here to suppress the truth. I'm on the same side of this fence as you are, and looking at the exact same red flags. Like the suddenly removed video where he explicitly stated he would never take his own life, then the immediate shutdown and wiping of his entire digital archive, the very website housing digitized ancient texts, missing scriptures, and suppressed teachings on energy and frequency. And the sudden disappearance of critical data right after his passing isn't just unusual, but it's a massive signal that something much deeper is at play. Furthermore, emerging details are raising serious questions about who Joe really was, behind the scenes, and what was operating beneath the surface. I'm just as suspicious as you are. Between the timing, the censorship, and the digital cleanup, it lines up all too well with how the system of control operates when it wants to erase a narrative or control a voice. However, seeing these red flags doesn't mean we jump to immediate conclusions without hard evidence. There's a grand difference between asking sharp, relentless questions, and just circulating noise. And I refuse to lead this community down a path of half-truths or calculated misdirection, until we have more pieces to the puzzle and it's actually pieces that fit. But we still must keep our eyes open, monitor every piece of evidence coming out, and examine every single angle, including the uncomfortable ones. But what I won't do is make definitive claims until we know for sure. So stay sharp, question everything, and keep your focus on the bigger picture, because we're in this together, and truth will always prevail. And on that note, I will also make it clear, I would never unalive myself, and if something happens to me, I would...
Bro, you're wearing a mask. Relax. Nobody knows if you would have unalived yourself or not. You didn't even make... You literally don't exist. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, dude, the white boy was working with Nature Jab. That's the young brother who's making fuel out of plastic and whatnot. He'll be at the Invest Fest. He said that he's going to talk about Joe, and he's going to keep him alive. But yeah, check him out.
I'm going to point out some things about Joe Fells that are a little suspicious to me, and it's not what everyone else is talking about.
Honest, I don't know much about the Freemasons except the stereotype that they have in modern society that they're bad or...
In this video, he claims...
Yeah, when you play with that natural energy, they are coming to fucking see you, my nigga. Trust. Play with it if you want. You play with that free energy game. You fuck around with that. These are, nigga, you talk about mobsters. The mobsters look up to these niggas. They bringing them hitters with, they got electric, nigga, the electric company got hitters. Con Edison got hitters, nigga. Trust me when I tell you. Man, Thomas Edison was gangster. He ran the Jews out of New York. That's how they formed Hollywood and whatnot. Thomas Edison had shooters all the way back then. Play with the energy if you want. Play with the utilities. Remember Monopoly, nigga? Play with them utilities if you want. That's, you want to talk mob control? You want to talk killers? Big energy? Big beef? Big pharma? Yeah, they spinning. They definitely spinning.
He doesn't know anything about Freemasonry, but he is covered in Masonic symbolism. On his back here, you can see the pillars of Jachin and Boaz from Solomon's temple. And on his arm, he's got Jacob's ladder, which is also depicted in the Masonic trestle board. On his ribs, he has a Maltese cross overlaid with not just any Celtic knot, but a quadruple Solomon's knot. His bust has an all-seeing eye on it, along with a Masonic pyramid. He has a video with a rope around his neck. In Freemasonry, this symbolizes death and rebirth. It's called the cable tow. It acts as a tether of obligation and a symbolic umbilical cord, signifying a new spiritual birth. When I first saw Joe's videos pop up on my feed, I always had a weird feeling about him and never followed his page. I'm someone who's very interested in alternative energy, ancient artifacts, and conspiracies. Normally, a page like this would be interesting to me. He just seemed disingenuous. It is 100% suspicious to me that this man is covered in Masonic symbolism, somehow found secret Masonic documents, and then allegedly died, and every single truther account and mainstream media is covering it. Personally, I don't think he's physically dead. I think this was a Masonic rite symbolizing spiritual death and rebirth. But what are your thoughts?
I think that was fucking AI. You know? Yeah, but I think that was AI. The fuck? I'm just not like, don't die and cook a nigga. Like, cook him when he's alive. You know what I'm saying? Have some fucking courtesy. Don't cook somebody when they die. God damn, the internet is cruel like a motherfucker. She looking at his tattoos and shit. You paying too much attention, sis. What the hell? Talk about he might not be dead. Oh, man. Let's see. Let's go with my guy. Where Drake at?
But I think Double Epstein was the West Mesa bone collector. 2009, this lady moving, grooving, vibing, sliding with her dog, and next thing you know, dog started messing with this bone. She's like, that don't look like no regular bone. She calls up her sister, then calls up the cops. Cops find out it's human bones. They excavate the whole entire place. 11 women, bone remains found, 1 unborn child. One thing all these women had in common is they were supposedly prostitutes working in similar areas in New Mexico at the time. Now, their bodies were found in 2009. They were all killed around 2002 to 2005. No real leads out there because the cops themselves said it's been challenging due to lack of physical evidence. Remains were bones. Like I said, clothing, jewelry. Almost like it was done by a fucking professional. Virginia is one of the first people to testify and let people know what was going down at Zora Ranch. Because before, nobody was even looking at that place. And she was like, no, he was trafficking people in and out of there. Not the only person that says that. Bryce Gordon, who's also the ranch's former manager, said he flew in guest masseuses, but also hired local massage therapists to work there. Now, local massage therapists in the New Mexico area, how many could you possibly fucking choose from? AKA meaning prostitutes. We bought this ranch in 1993, and if you go through the files, you can't find any emails before basically like the year of 2009. And it also has pictures of her at the ranch to testify and say, I've been there. I was ordered to have sex with multiple men there. There was orgies there. There was other things that took place there. And I'm sitting here thinking like, well, before you, there was probably also the same type of things taking place. We know in 2019, an email went out that said, I know that there's 2 female victims somewhere buried in the hills at the ranch. Now, my question is, how many other people has he killed throughout the years? And was he always burying them at the ranch? Now, he obviously clearly did have nothing but space, but at the same time, would he just bury people on his own fucking property? I mean, he was bold, but I'm like, that bold? Now, from Zora Ranch to where the bones were found at in West Mesa is an hour and 16-minute drive. Now, that does not sound too out of the norm for me, especially if he had no ties to these people. He's like, man, get rid of them. We just did this religious killing or whatever. I didn't like her, or this dude got too violent with her, ended up killing her. Who knows what the fuck was going down there? We know at the ranch, there's a whole entire diary of a girl that said, as soon as my baby was born, or even maybe before that, it was taken by Ghislaine. 1 unborn child found right there, and 0 physical evidence. Good distance between the two, and obviously he had the ranch to clean everything up. I said before, I could be completely wrong, and maybe this is a completely different person that did all these killings. But the cops said they have no leads. And I feel like maybe if you want to start looking in this general direction, because I mean, he was doing some vociferous shit out there. And he wasn't the only one. He was flying people in. And I'm saying, zero physical evidence points to this guy. He used to be getting copious amounts of fucking acids and all that type of shit shipped all over the place. Dentist spots to get rid of the teeth that would only leave the bones. I'm just saying.
Get started today. I would just like to say, first of all, I'm having a ball. Okay, I'm having a freaking ball. Secondly, because I thought I was gonna be exhausted, but secondly, I don't like being too emotional. We're gonna get to the geopolitics and the kikis from overseas. Just give me 2 seconds. Just give me 2 minutes. I would like to thank y'all. I want to personally thank y'all. I had a moment of reflection today where I was like, I am living in my dream. When you're living in your dream, it can be bumpy, it can be rocky, it can be quite stressful. Trying to get your dream off the ground, or at the very least, trying to ensure that you get to maintain that freedom of creativity, freedom of voice, freedom of speech, you know, all the things. But the fact that I'm able to not only do that and be able to manage my day-to-day, you know what I mean? All of my expenses and my day-to-day things, that is the next, like, that's a cherry on top. And it's definitely something that I don't take for granted. I am so grateful and appreciative of this job. And I know that y'all love me in this community and y'all grateful for me. I'm just as grateful for y'all. And I just want to make that perfectly clear, because I feel like I say it, but I don't say it enough, like as much as I should. Because like I said, I had that moment of like reflection today and meditation where I was just like, damn, like I kind of blinked and I'm living the life that I've been dreaming of. So yay to that. That being said, we still keeping everybody in our thoughts and prayers. We're going to keep going. And that's just what it is. Okay. Because I recognize that not everybody gets the opportunity to live their dreams out the way that they would like to. And, you know, took a shot in the dark and it worked out for me. So I just wanted to say thank y'all from the bottom of my heart. I cannot believe that I'm still every day back here, but this is where we at. Okay. And that's a good thing, girl. That's a good thing. That being said, I was cracking the fuck up reading what's happening overseas. Now, if you watch my other video about what's happening in Israel, then you know it's some nefarious, crazy things going down around town. Earlier today, I came across this information about how the CIA had been planting, I guess, like secret agents and CIA agents inside of Cuba to basically, or they're raising up agents right now, but they're doing their nasty, nefarious work to try and do some form of regime change in Cuba. That's nothing new, because Donald Trump and the Trump administration had stated that before, that they had always intended on trying to do some form of regime change in Cuba and in different parts of Mesoamerica or Central America and South America, right? That of which we're literally watching it unfold. Colombia is dealing with it right now. Ecuador, Mexico, and several other countries, right? Cuba has been at the top of their list for a while, and we saw a lot of things go down, but I think it's hilarious to see how America is in the West, back to the same old shit. Child, they didn't hit the drawing board again, but didn't toss out the initiative. And I fear the initiative is precisely what got you into the situation that you were in to begin with. So this finding out that America and the West is trying to do regime change in Cuba while simultaneously having to fire other people, because that's how dedicated they are to their delusion of regime change in the Mossad, is insane to me. The Mossad chief dismissed 2 department heads following the agency's failure to achieve regime change in Iran. Oh, so we're now willing to admit that we failed with that. Donald Trump admitted that, but Netanyahu refused to admit that. Channel 12 is reporting that the Mossad chief is saying, hey, we fucked that one up. Like, we fucked up real bad. And I just want y'all to know, when it comes to achieving y'all dreams, don't give up. Do not give up. Okay? Because as long as they are stupid enough to believe that they can actually achieve regime change and be stupid and egotistical enough to say, you know what? And delusional enough to think that it wasn't necessarily the initiative that was the issue, but in fact, the people behind the initiative that they were trying to push. There's a fighting chance out there for y'all. You understand me? So if you want to be a SoundCloud rapper with the intent of being a big superstar, you better keep on rapping on that SoundCloud. Because it sounds a lot better than trying to topple over somebody's government in a foreign place and failing for over 4 decades. And feeling after 4 decades of failing at trying to achieve the same thing, feeling like, you know what? This next time is going to be the time. It's this next time. I'm going to get them. They, in fact, did not. They, in fact, did not get them. They instead just fired the top heads that they had and said, we need to train some other people to do this. And then turned around and said, maybe the location was the issue. Maybe it wasn't my idea. Maybe, hear me out, I just need to go over to Cuba and fuck Cuba up. Like, what? Girl, what? What? Girl, what? Like, y'all. Shit's going down inside of Israel. I swear, shit's going down on their side of town. Stay tuned. I know, it's like a key.
Bro, if this is you, if you're under 35 and you're still waiting for the economy to save you, you're playing the wrong game. 25 million Americans under 35 are living with their parents. College graduates cannot find work. Housing keeps getting further and further away. Whether you blame the government, the Federal Reserve, AI, or corporations, one thing is absolutely obvious. The rules changed. Here's what nobody tells you. Every generation has an economy. This generation has the internet, bro. This thing right here. Yeah. For the first time in history, one person with a laptop can build a business, reach millions of people, and sell to the entire planet. And that's not motivation. That's infrastructure. Like, people keep saying, there are no opportunities. No, there are fewer excuses. Like, the barrier isn't location anymore. It isn't permission. It isn't a degree. The biggest barrier now is skill. Can you solve a problem? Can you communicate effectively? Can you build? Can you sell? But the old economy rewarded compliance. The new economy rewards leverage. Your attention, your ideas, your reputation, your ability to create value. That's why this is simultaneously the hardest and the greatest time to be alive. The comment, scroll below, or click the link in my bio, because your scroll won't build the business for you. It will show you the gifts you're supposed to be building it with. Stop waiting for the economy to change. Become the economy.
United States corruption, with our latest stunt being blocking a story that tied 00 Epstein to banks funding him hundreds of millions of dollars. This is a story that was supposed to run on Barry Weiss's CBS 60 Minutes, but ever since she's taken over, all 00 Epstein stories get pushed to the bottom. I want you to think about how if you went to the bank right now, asked for 10K, they'd be like, need a reason, we're going to deny that. But when 00 Epstein was transferring hundreds of millions of dollars back and forth, not a peep. Everyone looked the other way, and this is multiple banks. Now, how does somebody like that get people in banking systems to look the other way? Now, when you go through the rabbit hole of the banking systems, Rothschild, that family, shit gets real iniquitous, but we're not going to dive too far into that. The question is, who are the ones calling the shots to have these?
I'm going to continue playing this, but I just want to preference that the video that we just played with Brosie O'Donnell, where she's speaking about the economy and the fact that so many people are living with their parents and this whole thing about currency and all of that. And then I purposely played this right here to show that these banks and these banking institutions and what you think is fair was never fair. right? You were taught in school that this was a fair system, that, you know, capitalism was the way. And, you know, and we're the older we get, the more wiser we get, the more, not every single day we're just realizing like, oh shit, at the end of the day, they had us hoodwinked. You feel me? They had us hoodwinked. They had us thinking that it was one way and it was completely something else. You dig what I'm saying? All of these mother effers are crooked. All of these mother effers are crooked, and they was pushing morality on us. You feel me? They was pushing morality. No, that's not Rosie. That's Brosy. That's not Rosie. That's Brosy O'Donnell. They was pushing all of this fake morality, pushing religion on us, pushing right and wrong on us. All of this shit, pushing all of these things, but they don't adhere to none of it. They don't adhere to none. We cannot find examples of it in the society. You understand? We cannot find examples of this in this society. So let me continue. You feel me? And all of these videos that I'm showing, all of these different clips are just, you know, if I was to put it in an image, it will literally be, every clip will be a piece of the pyramid brick being removed until that whole entire edifice comes tumbling down. You understand? This is us removing the Jenga blocks. This is us removing the Jenga blocks from a structure so that shit can collapse. And collapse where? Collapse in your mind. Because it got to collapse in your mind before it collapses in this real world and whatnot. The fact that you could collapse the wave by just changing your mind. The fact that you could collapse the wave by being introduced to a truth that overpowers the deception and whatnot. That's how buildings fall. That's how shit falls into the fucking sea and whatnot. Atlantis and these places don't sink on their own. Just remember, this whole entire shit is being held up by your quote unquote agreements. Facts. It's your collective agreement that got this shit fuckery. Like the fuckery is fuckering because you're collectively agreeing to it. Not you per se, but you know what I'm talking about. The 85ers.
These people say, hey, nah, that's our guy, J.E. Don't worry about him. Everything's copacetic. It wasn't. You mix that with the fact that the state of New Mexico, the state, is suing the DOJ and Todd Blanche because they're like, yo, why are you guys blocking our probe to go search out the New Mexico ranch? Zorro Ranch is where the baby incubators were. Zorro Ranch is where multiple people could have been buried and died. Now, most likely, we'll never find that. But the fact that they're going through these many hoops to not even let people search at the New Mexico ranch, and now New Mexico as a state has to sue them. I mean, how much more corrupt could you possibly fucking get? And this is for a pedophile ring. Because this dumb bitch, the age of independent media has never been better because they've taken over everything. Between her and Ellison, CNN, gone. Fox News, gone. CBS, gone. TikTok, gone. Now, these are all narratives that they want to constantly push while also simultaneously teaching the AI and giving them fake blogs to push their narrative of we need to fuck with Zionism, which nobody fucks with. We need to support our greatest liability and don't ask any questions about Double Epstein because he's dead and there's nobody else attached. Hello, we were not born fucking yesterday. This story is not going to disappear just because you want to go fight wars in the Middle East. Everything right now is a distraction to have us not ask the questions about Double Epstein. And Mamdani, Al-Saeed, that's their new, oh my God, they're taking over. Communists are taking over, socialists are taking over, Muslims are taking over. It's like, we voted for them because you guys are fucking idiots and haven't done the math yet that if you're attached to AIPAC, you're fucking cooked. And now you don't want the mayor of New York City to go to the 25th anniversary of 9/11? I mean, please, somebody make that make fucking sense. The racism that we are about to see towards Muslims are about to reach peaks that we haven't seen since 9/11, 2001. Now, they just wasted $60 million, that's AIPAC, on one single race. Now, how much will they use to go against Mike Rogers? It's like, you have no fucking chance. I mean, obviously, they're going to use a lot of money to beat him because if he wins again, wallahi, they going to start a fucking riot. As you can see, it's already begun. Now, the question is the cult following of MAGA and some of the, fringe right-wingers smart enough to realize that it doesn't matter about who the fuck the Democrat Party has. we need to get rid of our greatest liability, because they're the ones that are dragging us into this war that's going to be forever in a motherfucking day. But as you can see, they're trying to put other people as the face of the problem because they don't want anybody talking about Double Epstein, the greatest liability, and how many people we've killed for no fucking reason, and how many of ours have died for no fucking reason.
We don't want the next administration, whoever, God forbid, you're going to have President El Sayed in 3 years. We don't.
Our boy Vance really be killing me with that shit, because it's like, bro, your wife is brown, your kids is fucking mixed, and your wife hasn't even converted to your religion. You a bitch in your household.
I don't want him to undo all the incredible work that we've been doing when we've been taking out the fraudsters and saving the American people money.
Taking out the fraud while President Trump's team, now between both terms, has granted pardons to more than 70 individuals convicted of fraud or white-collar crimes. One being $1.3 billion healthcare fraud scheme. Pardon.
Fraud is really a dual victim crime. The most obvious victim, of course, is the American taxpayer, who has their hard-earned tax dollars stolen from them to enrich people who are violating our laws and taking advantage of our country. But I think more profoundly and more sadly, the second victim of fraud are the people who benefit from programs that the American people have set up in their generosity and in their kindness of spirit. And those programs don't function as well or don't even have the resources necessary to work because they've been stolen from by fraudsters.
Exactly, like Medicare and healthcare, which you guys are already trying to actively cut. So I'm just trying to wonder, why would Philip, 1.3 billion, 20-year prison sentence gone, just like that, commuted. Pardon. I thought we was trying to catch fraudsters, though. I will never let this story die out until we get those other 3.5 million files at some point in time, or a people's revolution is needed, because Jared Kushner, since the first term, backdooring shit, Double Epstein, tied to the most powerful people in the world, and every single one that he was in contact with is now a billionaire or technocratic fucking supremacist. Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, all meeting with this nigga. And who is this nigga, right? What the fuck was he doing?
That's true.
If you look back, he didn't excel at anything other than providing children.
Destro. So, in the spirit of Saturn retrograde, in the spirit of the boomerang effect, in the spirit of every dog having its day and whatnot, and in the spirit of karma, our next story, which may be our last, you know what I mean? We're gonna clip the blunt, you know what I'm talking about? We don't want to smoke the whole thing to our face. We'll clip it and we'll smoke some later, if that's okay, right? Sydney Starr, okay? Sydney Starr is facing life in a Georgia jail. Sydney Starr is a transformer who was famous for ruining the rapper Chingy's career. I don't know if it was ruined before that, but she damn sure exasperated his downfall by falsely claiming that they were in a relationship when it wasn't the case. I would have went and took her to celebrity boxing. I don't know what the fuck is going on with Chingy. You know what I'm saying? I would have had to spin a few blocks, but that's neither here or there. Okay. Mr. Sydney Starr was caught with a 14-year-old in a Georgia hotel, and it's not looking really good. It's looking awesome. It's looking awful for Sydney or Sid. Yeah, let's go.
You know what? I'm disgusted, devastated, disappointed, and exhausted with this tired, weak-ass excuse. Sydney Starr claiming the boy told her he was 18. You know what? You sound just like a man. And please don't jump in my comments with the transphobia. We're not even doing that today. We're really not. You sound just like a man with a blasphemous fetish for children who takes no accountability or acknowledges that he is in the wrong in any way, shape, or form. You sound just like a man. Oh, but of course it doesn't stop there. Here comes Sydney raggedy-ass mother. Oh, that doesn't sound like my daughter. That doesn't sound like something that Sydney would do. Well, then perhaps it sounds like your motherfucking son. Perhaps that. I'm so tired. Y'all already know how the mother-son dynamic goes. So perhaps that sounds like your son. Feel how you feel, said what I said. The boy told her he was 18. And you almost 40? Why would you ever be attracted to a child? 18 or not? And me personally, I am triggered and offended as a biological woman, because when we feel these ways, when we feel these certain ways about trans women and how they feel like as soon as you decide you want to be a trans woman, that you just know what it is to be a woman and you know the ins and outs of our lives and what it takes to be us, y'all get upset when we feel a type of way, but it's shit like this. It's literally shit like this. Sound like a man. You sound like a man, a predatory ass man who likes children, who preys on children. That's what it's giving at the end of the day. And here come the mom. Oh, that doesn't sound like something. It's giving, oh, my son was a good kid, would never hurt anybody. I don't know how this happened. Like, I'm disgusted, honestly.
Saturn and retro. Man. I don't want to pour it on, but we do got to put the narrative.
This is fucking crazy. What's crazier is the fact that women are not going crazy. Is the fact that military women. I'm shocked that the whole fucking United States is not on fire right now because of this shit. DOD reclassifies sexual assault as flirting under new policy. So a lot of things that are considered sexual assault, DOD has now reclassified it. So ladies in the military, you're about to find out what time it is. Under Trump's new military, women, you thought you were safe? The one place where women are very, very unsafe, military, where the sexual assault is covered and thrown under the rug, where rapes are thrown under the rug. Now they've reclassified. Go ahead and sign up for that military, though.
This next video is just further proof why we as a collective have to start taking back our cartoons, our toys industry, our video game industry, all of the entertainment, all of the entertainment, all of the edutainment, everything that's teaching babies from 0 to 7. If we don't control it, knowing what the world is, knowing what type of time they on, knowing how much shit they done got away from time immoral and whatnot, knowing that there's no morality in certain groups of people, knowing that we are literally going to be exhausted if we continue. Because goddamn it, I'm going to grow old pointing out the fuckery in this specific group of people. You know what I mean? Pointing out the demonic ways of this specific group of people that we literally told you that their religion is being demonic. They're transgressors. They have to do everything. They're inverted. They have to do everything opposite of what you consider to be good. That is literally their whole entire quote unquote existence, and their whole entire religion is that. That's what it is. So it's like we got to take control, because when I found out that Ren and Stimpy, I didn't watch Ren and Stimpy because Ren and Stimpy was stink to me. It had a stink energy. Robot Chicken is a stink energy. All of that shit that Seth Rogen and them did is a stink fucking energy. Family Guy and all of that, it's a stink energy. I never really meshed with that type of stuff because I could smell the filth. I could smell the stench behind the quote unquote frames. I could immediately look at any one of those shows and be like, my spirit don't take to that shit. This shit is demonic. Whoever's behind that shit is weird. This is going beyond locker room humor. This is going beyond locker room humor. These people are communicating with one another through the apparatus of entertainment, but they're utilizing sick humor. Very, very sick humor. And when you find these shows or these cartoons and whatnot, and their main premise is to somewhat,
let's just say, take something that was sacred, like children's cartoons, and then bring it into the realm of adult cartoons. But when they bring it into the realm of an adult cartoon, they're not approaching it from a place. I like dark comedy. Let's be clear. I love dark comedy. I love a dark comedy. I'm into all of that. Pulp Fiction, dark comedy. I'm a Scorpio. But when you desecrate, when you take children's cartoons and you make that shit perverted and whatnot, you're a fucking pervert, because at the end of the day, your artwork speaks to your heart work. I'm going to repeat that. Your artwork speaks to your heart work. Your heart is going to express through its hands and whatnot how your heart really is. And these are some demonic, filthy, heavy-hearted people. Facts. Let's check the video out.
On set, and I'm surprised that they didn't mention John Cristofalusi, whose 15-year-old girlfriend was an open secret at his studio where he created Nickelodeon shows like Ren and Stimpy. John met Robin when she was just 14 years old after she had sent him fan mail. And what really caught his eye was a video of her on her bedroom floor showing her.
Remember, we talking about Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon, right? Nickelodeon. They raised us. These cartoons raised generations and generations. So these demons that are out here right now, like a Sydney Star, like those white boys, like all of these people that are out here, they literally had their entertainment. They literally had their training through entertainment, through the cartoon networks and whatnot, was feeding them. Their epigenetics come online and whatnot when they watch these cartoons, when they read these comic books, when they play these video games. This is how they get triggered when they eat these foods. Yeah, Nick at Night, nigga. Nick at Night and all of that weird stuff. We need a detox, but we need our own shit. Because the newer generations that are coming up, they don't need the newer version of a Ren and Stimpy, Mort and what's that shit? Mort and Mindy, Ricky and Mort and all of that. I mean, I don't watch that stuff. It's all borderline. I know who's creating it. Remember, they did a whole documentary about homie that ran Nickelodeon. So inside of the Nickelodeon ecosystem, they were all promoting this type of behavior. They had us looking at the Disney shit like, oh yeah, we knew about Walt Disney, so we had our third eye open when it came to like Disney type shit. Like, I think Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears, something going on with them. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? They had us looking to the left, but on the right on Nickelodeon, they were carrying on with the fuckery and whatnot. B2K, Chris Stokes, all of that shit, all of that stuff. And they tied to Epstein. Facts. Throw it all away. I'm talking about uproot it all, throw it all away.
Artwork off to him.
I was falling in love with her letters, and I knew that probably is not.
Ariana Grande, right? Disney, right? So they created these psyop kids and turned them. What's her name? Molly Cyrus, the Herbie, what's the other one with the horse teeth? All of them turning into coke heads, pill poppers. The one Amanda Barnes or something, they turning into parking lot lizards. You know what I'm saying? Ray J, motherfucking Brandy's brother, Amanda. All right. Yeah, the Nickelodeon logo is literally Epstein Island, Amanda Bynes and whatnot. Now, I'm not Orlando Brown and whatnot, Selena Gomez. Now, these kids were traumatized. I'm not going to clown these children. We're looking at victims, y'all. These children came through. They was innocent. They didn't do it to themselves. They was innocent. It got done to them. The Olsen twins. Let's talk about it. All of those childhood stars, many of them are dead. You feel me? The lower, the B tier ones, the C tier ones, they're either on Skid Row. They put the fries in the bag. You know what I mean? They either on Skid Row or they not getting what they was compensated. They you know what I mean? They working somewhere. Some odd niggas is on Uber Eats. Not to take anything away from my Uber Eats and DoorDash drivers, but goddamn it, I would think that there was a golden parachute at Disney. They either in San Fernando Valley on the dark web, or they overdose on some hotel room floors. It's crazy.
Right? But I was just so smitten by her personality and her
Drake
letters. And then when I watched the videotape, it's like, holy cow, this girl is amazing.
John flew out to meet the teenager and took her back to his hotel room where he essayed her and promised that one day she would work for him at Spumco Studios, which she eventually did. When she was 16 and 17 years old, she became his live-in girlfriend and worked at the studio as an intern. The relationship was even mentioned in a book about the history of Ren and Stimpy. And Robin was not the only minor that John was carrying on inappropriate relationships with. He promised that one day they would work for him on their favorite cartoons. Robin and John's relationship was not only well known at the studio, but John would host pool parties where he would show off inappropriate photos of his girlfriend.
Has, I think, been this person for a long time. He would have us over at his house for parties, and he got drunk enough. You know, he would talk about young girls being, you know, the hottest. I talked to his most recent assistant, and she was crying and sad about it. She's like, that's not the John I know.
They're all fucking weird. Let's be clear. They sitting up there talking about John and whatnot, but nigga, I got eyes. I could see. They're all weird. Let's be clear. In some way, John might have been with the 17-year-old, but that nigga right there was with Lassie. You understand what I'm saying? He's real intimate with gerbils and shit like that. They're all weird.
He never, I mean, he would say inappropriate things because he's kind of a man-child. That whole male locker room thing, I didn't take it seriously enough. I'm making no excuses. It's just like, it never occurred to me that a guy would actually pursue that.
I think that his abusive nature and his God kind of thing, I just wasn't surprised. I was also really extremely angry. It hurt. It hurt that he used...
And they are good actors. They're thespians. So they put on this shit right here where they put the finger over the lip. Nigga, they're acting. Trust. These niggas are method actors.
Ren and Stimpy that way. To... lure girls into his fold. It was upsetting.
She's saying something about Ren and Stimpy luring girls into the vault, but just the whole basis of Ren and Stimpy, just the character of Ren and Stimpy. What the fuck do you think Ren and Stimpy is trying to attract? Is Ren and Stimpy what are we talking about? What the fuck are we talking about? Who the fuck do you think a Ren and Stimpy is trying to attract? Come on, fam. Like,
So that made me sad.
a lot of pause moments in that
I got
show.
a message
Exactly.
this morning that made me almost cry because of the way she put it. She was like, you are protecting all of the little girls who never put their crayons away.
Yeah, I'm just done. I'm through with them. They get me pissed off. I'm through with them. I gotta play this one though, because the almighty mother effing Marvel universe, right? Going back to what I'm pleading, we have to take over these industries. When I'm at InvestFest this Strongin, I'm pushing that mother effing line. I'm pushing that line. Shout out to the Imaginarium. Y'all are legends. I'm pushing that line. I'm showing the fuck off. I'm going to show you our work. I'm going to show them what we doing. I'm going to show them what we building and whatnot. And I'm going to challenge these niggas. Match the budget. We putting up $1 million. Match that. If y'all talking about y'all want freedom and financial level, yeah, whatever. Match the motherfucking, match the offerings. Because at the end of the day, there's nothing to talk about. I need to tap some pockets, nigga. Like, cause for real, it's not playtime no more. And I'm tired of sitting around playing with niggas. For real.
To Palantir Parker, feels like a good time to remind everyone that Marvel Studios only really exist because two ex-IDF soldiers who fought in the 6-Day War decided they wanted to sell toys.
So Marvel The same Marvel that people done probably spent thousands and thousands, if not millions of dollars on. Marvel, the same company that niggas literally will tattoo on their neck. Marvel, the same company that people be camping out to see movies and whatnot. Marvel, the same business and companies people are literally naming their children after. I'm like, damn, what's her name? Magneto. Her name is Magneto? Yeah, okay. Marvel is literally, okay, because there was a controversy that came out earlier this week when Marshala Ali, right? He was supposed to be Blade. He was supposed to revive the Blade franchise. They were sitting on the Blade movie for many, many years and whatnot. And then they decided that they wanted to scrap it. Then once they scrapped the Blade movie, it basically painted a picture. When people looked at it, they was like, hold on, Marvel. Every single movie that y'all are scrapping are movies with melanated people either in the lead, or the melanated people were the stars of these movies and whatnot, TV shows, movies and whatnot. They're canceling all that shit. They're canceling all that shit. So then if it created a deeper dive, only to come and find out that the entire Marvel universe was, is it real? Damn, Gina. I mean, I know that Stan Lee and them niggas come from Is It Real, but literally the people that are bankrolling this entire operation is IDF soldiers. Facts.
Parker, feels like a good time to remind
Let's go deep
people
down.
catching on to Palantir Parker. Feels like a good time to remind everyone that Marvel Studios only really exist because two ex-IDF soldiers who fought in the Six-Day War decided they wanted to sell toys. 1990, Ike Perlmutter was part of the purchase for Toy Biz. In 1993, they'd signed a deal to have the rights to Marvel characters. The same year, they'd hire Avi Arad, who was a toy designer who grew up reading comics in Israel. Avi has talked about his first and greatest love being the X-Men, who he identifies with. Now, this is deeply ironic because when Chris fleshed out the backstory of Magneto and expanded upon Professor X, he was modeling them after Zionists. Made a long video on this before, but he talked about Magneto being inspired by Menachem Begin, who was an Irgun terrorist who would go on to become Prime Minister of Israel and win the Nobel Peace Prize. Charles, he saw him as more akin to David Ben-Gurion, who was the first Prime Minister of Israel. He oversaw the Nakba and was a big fan of it. While Avi was a fan, Ike Perlmutter was basically saying, what is this shit? Nobody wants this. What is Spider-Man? Toy Biz would partially acquire Marvel Entertainment Group until it filed for bankruptcy. It salvaged in 1997 after a long time in court. In 1998, the companies would merge and become Marvel Enterprises. Toy Biz would become a part of that company. During this time, Avi Arad would produce X-Men, the animated series. He would produce Spider-Man, the animated series as well. In 1998, he would produce Blade, which was pivotal for Marvel's survival. Then he would produce X-Men in 2000, then Spider-Man in 2002. He managed to find two separate eventual rapists that would both eventually flee to Israel for X-Men 1 and X-Men 2 with Brett Ratner and Bryan Singer. A place that Avi still supports to this day. He's someone who has criticized Chuck Schumer.
For the record, and for my history buffs, X-Men 1 and X-Men 2, Bryan Singer and Brett Ratner, two completely different directors, part of the Marvel Universe. Both of them had to flee to Tel Aviv, right? Because they had what? Grape charges in the USA. Both of them. Is that a coincidence? But you hear about all of these other people, but literally the quote unquote directors of these franchises, right, had to flee, not face the charges, right? Imagine if R. Kelly was in Ghana, nigga.
For not being a strong enough advocate for the nation. Now, Avi would get overly involved in Spider-Man 3, forcing Venom into this story. He saw Venom simply as a way to sell more toys, ignoring the fact that if you make a better movie, it'll sell more toys that way. Ironically, he would do the same exact thing with The Amazing Spider-Man 2. If you want to know why there are so many characters, so many storylines in this movie, a lot of it has to do with selling toys. Leave Marvel Studios in 2006, but he'd go on to produce all the Sony stuff like Venom, Venom 2, Venom 3, Morbius, Kraven the Hunter. He is involved as a producer with the Spider-Verse films as well. He's also listed as an executive producer on Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home. He's a producer on Brand New Day as well. There are varying reports about how much he's involved with the MCU's take on Spider-Man, how much creative control he has, if any. This being said, at the end of the day, keep in mind we would not have any of this shit without the relentless greed of Ike and Avi.
And at the same time, we'll give you this as well, right? Because we got to balance it out.
As Malcolm X and Charles Xavier as Martin Luther King Jr. sort of represents an FBI-approved cardboard cutout of what those two men actually were, and you are implying that Malcolm X was a genocidal supremacist terrorist, and I'd love to see anyone back up that idea with a straight face. The level of violence that is involved with both Magneto and Charles, they are commentary on Zionism. They are both representative of different prime ministers of the state of Israel, according to Chris Claremont, the man who fleshed out Magneto. Uncanny X-Men 150 in 1981, Magneto got his backstory coming from Auschwitz. For a time, it was unsure whether he was Jewish or Romani. In 2008, he was confirmed in the comics to be Jewish. Charles and Eric literally meet in the state of Israel. A lot of white liberals like to push this idea and ignore the fact that the closest comparison, which is still ridiculous and inaccurate, is Professor X and Malcolm X. And if you ignore all the Claremont backstory, all the way back in 1963, Magneto was talking about the superiority of mutants and Homo superior. If you push this idea about Malcolm again, you are a Fed because Magneto is a genocidal terrorist. And what you're saying about Martin, comparing him to Professor X, is saying that Martin Luther King was saying that black people needed to go around and like police other black people who were trying to hurt white people. The idea makes sense on not a single level. And again, looking at the past 45 years of Magneto, you have Claremont here talking about it being David Ben-Gurion for Professor X and Menachem Begin for Magneto. Claremont fails to understand is both of these men had a belief in supremacy, right? Because Ben-Gurion, who he's put onto Professor X, is someone who oversaw the Nakba and thought it was a good thing, right? He felt like he had more of a right to land than other people did. That is supremacy in and of itself. Menachem was an Argun terrorist. He murdered civilians, right, for his cause because of his same belief as Ben-Gurion. The idea around Magneto is a concept that Mandy Patinkin talked about rather famously recently. He said, you have all of this done to you and then you turn around and you do it to someone else. None of this has a single thing to do with Malcolm X. You want to know one of the only X-Men writers who, while he was working on a project, to be actively saying the Malcolm and Martin stuff over and over again? It was Bryan Singer when he was making the original X-Men film. All that being said, this is incredibly important in this moment to have these conversations because the character of Magneto really at this point is representative of the state of Israel.
And there you have it. A little bit of straightening. You know, a little bit of straightening because people was going around, yo, Malcolm X is Professor X. Yo, Malcolm X is Magneto. You know, I get it. Not so fast there, buddy. All right. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to land this plane. We've been in the air for so long. I feel like New York to LAX. We've been flying for a minute now. So we are definitely finna land this plane. We are at the 3 hour and 30-minute mark coming up. I want to thank everybody for being in the building, rocking out with us today. Like I said, we are still looking for volunteers for the quote unquote, we're still looking for volunteers for our weekend, our strong in at InvestFest. I think we got like 2 more passes. So if we're at this point, we need videographers or anybody that knows how to work the camera, a vlogger, videographer, or photographer. That is definitely what we're looking for. It will help you if you have, if you live in the Atlanta area. You know what I'm saying? It would definitely help you if you live in the Atlanta area. Also on 8/8, we are releasing some new music. So check this out and definitely go and support that project. Family, peace to you and yours, brother. Red Pill reporting live and direct. Yes, first and foremost, I want to give a humongous thank you and honors to everybody that's been getting the Voltron Volume 1 on pre-sale. I've been going crazy over that. I really appreciate it. Then I want to give an extra thank you to everybody that showed up to the album listening that we did in New York City. Everybody that came out, salute. It was a wonderful, wonderful affair. Everybody that showed up on the live stream, salute to everybody. It was a monumental, classical event because that project right there, Magnifico. And I also want to let everybody know on 8/8 Air, save the date, Lionsgate, we are going to be dropping not a mixtape, but an album, Volume 1 of Voltron featuring Red Pill. It's not going to be streaming. It is not going to be on the streaming platforms on 8/8. It will make it there eventually, but it's not going to be there on 8/8. It will be available on the website. You could access that by scanning that QR code in your upper left or your upper right. The QR code will take you to the website and you'll be able to purchase the digital download and whatnot. We do have vinyl, we do have cassettes, and we do have CDs. However, that will be available
very, very soon. Okay. Yeah. And we also have merch. That is Cambada, Red Pillar, and Blue Pillar, produced by the good brother Nick Price. And we also have tracks by Brother Rich, aka Black Magic 363. All right. So yes, that's what we doing. And yeah, that's coming to you this quote unquote shit on 8/8 on Saturday. We're gonna be dropping that. We worked hard on this too. Trust me, we worked very hard. I know I bust my ass. So please support that. You know what I mean? Support good art. Bars is back. You know what I mean? Support good music. We going crazy.
Produced by Brother Rich and my good brother Nick Price. So make sure y'all go ahead and get the pre-order votes on Friday. Peace.
This little clip that I got here is one of my vignettes. It's a vignette for the Theta Waves. Shout out to House of Tunes. All right, my videographer. Yeah, we need you to shoot like House of Tunes. If you work in that camera, we need you to slang that shit. You feel me? So we could look like a movie. All right. But yeah, we up out of here. We're gonna end it with this clip, and then we will see you on the Get Back. All right. Peace.
Perception, force protection, or force confessions. It's all a lesson. Chill. The sorcerers from Corsica, killer tonics, sticks and drums, like the Philharmonic Orchestra. You niggas still playing harmonicas from officers, fabric softener. Jive turkeys popping 5 perkies, playing with keys the Scotch stores type. For that soft white, we could've caught life, just being forthright. First class on my 4th flight, popping out like Fortnite. Every night we lit like porch lights. The meek shall inherit the earth, oh yeah, the scorched type. And these niggas, they some hoes in these streets. Me, I'm 10 toes in these streets. They lost their souls, niggas got holes in their feet. Shit, I'm just worried about the craft and how to perfect it. Not worried about the craft, yeah, that's out of perspectives. Focus on the chip like I'm Robert Kraft, and then how to protect it. It's the waves of the oceans. Get to the money, nigga, save your emotion. Descendant of the slaves in the graves in the oceans. Mastermind that the waves is in motions. These niggas, they addicted to the folly, addicted to that molly. Making me a movie, them sticks made of holly. I'm Dr. Manhattan, sitting on top of Manhattan. When I get all 5 rings, snap my fingers and pop up on satin. Dressed in all black, yeah, drop top the Phantom. Best.
You see King Kong? You see King Kong of consciousness. Oh, somebody was asking about the Cash App. Well, there you go. I'm the King Kong of consciousness. Oh, man. Yeah, you need to... King Kong finna pop out, man. Y'all be, I'm gonna have King Kong on the stream and whatnot. We gonna go streaming with King Kong running through New York one day. But yeah, man, peace, love, and light to the family. I'll see y'all soon. One.
Can't beat us, join us, please bring your coinage. We sink 3-pointers, money shots, all net, all vets. Bumps we not, jet skiing in them sunny spots. With women edible like gummy drops. Dummy stop, dummy stop. No weapon form can intercept the storm. Once my intellect is on, I'm projecting on magnetic fields. And interact with blacks with athletic bills. I'm all about growth and development like residents of Ebbets Fields. Not to choose between woo and chew. We wanna line them colors up like a Rubik's Cube. And fade to black, yeah, the truest hue. When you say the black man is God, who you alluded to? The usual, Clarence 13X, a worthy guest. The words expressed come from the word in flesh. Elijah M, the NOI versus Leviathan. Messiah sent from the heavenly branches. 7 P's from since G-Dub cut down the cherry tree. In the wilderness of North Mex, and we flossing death and forced aggression, the forced perception, forced protection. or forced confessions. It's all a lesson. The sorcerers from Corsica, killer tonics, sticks and drums like the Philharmonic Orchestra. You niggas still playing harmonicas from officers, fabric softener. Jive turkeys popping 5 perkies, playing with keys, the Scotch stores type. For that soft white, we could've caught life, just being forthright. First class on my 4th flight, popping out like Fortnite. Every night we lit like Porsche lights. The meek shall inherit the earth, oh yeah, they're scorched type. And these niggas, they some hoes in these streets. Me, I'm 10 toes in these streets. They lost their souls, niggas got holes in their feet. Shit, I'm just worried about the craft and how to perfect it. Not worried about the craft, yeah, that's out of perspectives. Focus on the chip like I'm Robert Kraft, and then how to protect it. It's the waves of the oceans. Get to the money, nigga, save your emotion. Descended of the slaves in the graves in the oceans. Mastermind that the waves is in motions. These niggas, they addicted to the folly, addicted to that molly. Making me a movie, them sticks made of holly. I'm Dr. Manhattan, sitting on top of Manhattan. When I get all 5 rings, snap my fingers and pop up on satin. Dressed in all black, yeah, drop top the Phantom. Bless.
Crumb TV.